I'm on a hush hush, if you wouldn't mind.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to CryptoTraders Room. This is your host, Crypto Trader, and one of the only places that we kind of keep it real with honesty and integrity. It's a pleasure to have you guys on this different type of live stream where I'm not going to really be doing any technical analysis, but it's a way for us to kind of just, bullshit, just BS about crypto in general. And I got, give me 1 second. I got Oni, who is, a big member of CryptoTraders Room. He's very active on there, and Oni was nice enough to join this live stream. And we're gonna just BS today, and then maybe get a couple of you guys on the live stream. So Oni, what is up, buddy?
How's it going, guys? How y'all doing?
Dude, I'm doing great, man, and hopefully everybody's doing good on the chat. We got about, let's see, not too many people yet. It is Friday though. We got to take that into consideration. So on a Friday, everybody's out partying, except for me. I got kids, so I got one kid sleeping, and then the other two kids are at a homecoming parade. It is homecoming at Penn State University, so they're out and about.
Kids, but those altcoins are certainly misbehaving right now, keeping me busy.
Yeah, and the third child that BTC was ready to have, that redheaded stepchild decided to abort. But aside from that, let me welcome some people that are on this chat, and then we can just basically chat about anything and everything. Sunspawn finally making this live stream. What is up, buddy? Brandon H from Philly. Definitely got to get together when I'm down there. Darkness, as always, buddy. Thank you for joining. Davey Reed. It's great to have you guys on here. I'm looking at a different monitor, so my head might be turned on the camera. But yeah, what is going on, guys? Thank you for joining. We do appreciate it. But yeah, this crazy cryptocurrency market. I was Oni, and I'm sure you were watching this too. And anybody that's on this live stream on the chat, I'm sure you guys were watching it as well. I got off that live stream on Wednesday, and it was probably 5 minutes after I got off that they decided, Segwit 2X wasn't happening, and they were going to cancel it. And I got a text message from Dylan. I also got a text message from Rec Real. I don't know if he's on this right now. But as soon as I got that text message, I went ahead and looked at BTC chart because I was expecting BTC to tank. I really was. I mean, who would hold BTC at that time?
Oh, you got to do the short squeeze though for the profits first before the drop.
That's exactly what it was. That huge squeeze that I saw, and I was like, dude, this is crazy. It's heading up to almost 8,000. But yeah, what do we know? They dumped it right on anybody else that was buying it. So, but yeah, that was the craziest thing I've seen, and we all know that this cryptocurrency market is the wild, wild west. And I don't know, man. I've been trading this cryptocurrency market for since January, a little before January now, and I'd have to say this is the craziest thing I've seen ever.
Yeah, there's no reining it in right now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. I'm just making sure that little thing doesn't pop up. There's really no I couldn't make heads or tails the last 2.5 months, man. It was nuts. We just kept hitting ATH, and it was insane. It was insane. It was stressful. I'm glad it's finally cooling off, man. I got a bunch of low balls in. I'm hoping they catch.
Speaking of stressful, yeah, trading cryptocurrency is probably one of the most stressful things anybody could ever do. At least, with the stock market, when I was trading it, it was basically, 9 to 5, 9 to 4:30. If you wanted to trade after hours, you could trade after hours, but really, 9 to 4, 9. And honestly, I shouldn't even say 9 to 4, because really after 12 o'clock, there's no volatility. So really you have that open window for about an hour, hour and a half. You can trade, there's volatility, make some profit. And then that was it. Cryptocurrency is 24/7. It never sleeps. And it causes you to never sleep, especially if you have a position that's open. And it's one of the toughest things. And honestly, man, I've aged so much and lost so much weight in the past 10, 11 months. And my wife looks at me and she's like, man, you're not putting on any weight. And I'm like, it's this cryptocurrency market. It's gotten the best of me. And I'm sure a lot of people are, in our position where, if they try to eat it, sleep it, dream it, it'll definitely take its toll on you, man. I got gray hair popping left and right, and I used to blame them on my kids and wife, but it's definitely the market. It's a crazy market.
Yeah, man, it's insane. It's been rough. And the funniest thing about the best example of how just nuts the market is, if you guys go back and watch the I guess it was the last show, right, that you did when we were before the pop, before they announced 2X was over.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Yeah, so we were talking LSK, we were talking list.
Yep.
And as soon I was like right there, it picked up and took off. Like as soon as they canceled 2X, man, boosh, it shot right up. And like no one could have judged that, no one could have thought of anything. And since then it just took way off. So I ended up grabbing maybe like 20 sats above where my original order was, and I wrote it all the way up. And now, again, right now it's back down 20, maybe 15% from where it was. So
yeah, and that was the thing that really confused me about it. I expected a sell-off to happen when that 2x was basically called off. Like I expected, okay, if that 2x wasn't called off, people were still going to hold their position. People were still going to add to their Bitcoin position because they wanted to take advantage of that 2x fork. They wanted the extra dividend, those extra coins. So when they called it off and I saw the price rising up, I was like, dude, this is crazy. This is being manipulated to the upside. I'm like, it should have fallen. Like I expected it to fall. I expected it to fall, after 2x, after everybody, basically solidified that they were getting their extra coins, their extra dividend. I expected that the sell-off to happen then. So when I saw it go up, I'm like, this isn't normal. Like this should have been selling off. And what do we know? Boom, they started dumping it. I happened to be looking at Binance at that time as well too, and I saw Binance just dropping. I mean, of course, it went up to 78, 79 almost, but I saw it dropping to $6,500, and I mean, it was an avalanche just coming down. I was like, whoa! And then what do you know? It comes right back up. But at that same time, I don't know if you guys were watching it, and I shot out a little message on our Slack chat. BT2, basically the features. I mean, it tanked from, almost $900 or $880 all the way down to $1. And I saw it sit at $1 for maybe 30 seconds. And I was like, whoa, I'm like, did they really just dump this thing to $1? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, let me get a little bit of coin into and this was on actually Bitfinex. I was like, let me get something into Bitfinex, transfer some ETH and try to put in a lowball offer of a penny, just in case, in the hopes that it gets there. It set at $1 for about 30 seconds and then shot right back up to $500. And I was like, dude, if anybody bought this at $1 and cashed out at $500, instant millionaire there, especially if they went in with this very sizable position.
Yeah. There was a guy that came into another Slack I was in, I guess it was like 3 months ago. It was around when BCH was, I guess $200, and he called it. He told everybody what he was going to do and what was going to happen. And then sure enough, the other day, it happened. It was like, it's going to go up. Alts are going to bleed into BCH. Everyone's going to hedge into BCH. This next time around, LTC is not going to move. Get out of here, dude. Go away. Boo. You've never heard from him again.
And I'm assuming this was after the 2x was canceled, right?
No, this was months ago.
Wow.
And he was saying straight up, 2x will be canceled. BCH is going to move. Alts will bleed into BCH. I took a snapshot of it just because, like, I've seen crazier things happen in crypto. Someone calling, like, because the whales can literally do that. And sometimes they can just be like, you want to follow me? You don't know who I am. I'm a stranger on the internet, but trust me, I'm going to make this move. And if any of y'all are smart, you'll follow me. But, everyone was like, get out of here, man. Go away, troll. And then I was sitting there watching it just like, wow.
I would have never guessed that, to be honest with you. No way I would have guessed that.
Yeah,
man.
And I mean, a guess. It wasn't a guess because I forgot all about it. And when I'm watching the chart, I'm like, oh my God, dude.
Yeah, he knew something. He knew something that we didn't know. I don't know if he had insider info about 2x possibly being canceled, and if that was the case, what's really going to dominate? It's going to be BCH. It's going to be Bitcoin, Cash that would dominate because of of really, I mean, that's Satoshi's what he envisioned Bitcoin to be. Not this one megabyte block. He didn't envision that at all. To start out, it was great, but yeah, it's just it's the craziest thing we've seen.
Oh man, it's back up there too at 988 right now.
Yeah, I think it touched 1,000. It touched 1,000.
I sold. I know Rock or Crypto Cotter got out too. I was able to hedge myself just perfectly by doing that too, man. I was like, oh yeah, I'm pulling out, and I was like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. It's the only thing that's living right now. It's the only thing afloat in the water.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's the only thing that's moving. And let me open up a chart. Actually, I won't be able to share it with you guys, but I'll open up a chart and just to kind of look at a couple things, see exactly what's going on.
That's what I got going on right now too. I'm just on crypto.
Yeah, let's see. Let me respond to some of the questions that are in the chat. Maybe they got some questions for you that you can answer. Questions for me. But Brandon, yeah, dude. You guys have seen my face before. I don't know if you were on the live stream in the past, but yeah, this is the third time when I did the interview with Daniel, the CEO and founder of Crypto20. I showed my face on there. So yeah, not the first time, but yeah, maybe first time that you hopped on. But yeah, let's see what else everybody else is saying. Davey, you're an official investor now. I'm assuming investor of Crypto 20. If it's Crypto 20, I'm hoping it is, because yeah, you'll be sitting very well in a couple of years. Darkness, thank you for smashing that like button, buddy. I appreciate it. 2x not called off. You know, and I said this on the Slack chat. So only I don't know if you had a chance to read it, but you know, I said, you know, what if this was just complete FUD? You know, complete FUD that was just put out there to completely manipulate the price, you know, so that Roger Ver and all his cronies can get out at a very decent price. And then, you know, kind of seeing Bitcoin Cash kind of tumble. Anything's a possibility.
Yeah, I agree. And, you know, but by complete FUD, you mean the existence of the 2x hard fork?
Yes,
right?
or the cancellation of 2x hard fork.
So you're saying the cancellation is the lie,
Possibly.
and that it's still
yes.
Okay. Well, either way, like, it still works. And like when the group that's claiming to be going through with it, I think they're saying, I haven't looked at what's going on right now, but who's got what and who's hashing what. A pretty like Scrabble band of people that get together, because to my knowledge, no one has that much hash rate. Really be like on some clandestine, like, you know, backroom deal type stuff, which in my opinion is what the NYA was.
Oh, exactly. Yeah. So everybody, you know, all these miners would have to be in cahoots together and say, you know what, let's move all our hash and power to, you know, Bitcoin Cash or, you know, Bitcoin Gold. And then, you know, would that become the real Bitcoin? Definitely not. I don't think so. I mean, Bitcoin's always going to be Bitcoin.
And
you know?
the users and the network, that's what it is, you know, like
Exactly.
If they wanted to take away that much of the hash rate, they would. Bitcoin would be slow for a couple of years. It'd be cheap for a while, and then maybe a couple of years, for about, I guess, a year and a half, really.
Yeah.
But it would still be Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, as Bitcoin is right now, there's too much money into it right now. There's people coming in the market. Wall Street's got their eye on it. CME is here. They're not going to move chains, man.
No, exactly.
So,
and that's why.
Bitcoin's here to stay.
And that's why I think, you know, this, you know, 2x, you know, I mean, all this FUD that's being spread is just to drive Bitcoin down. You know, that's really all it is, so that, you know, the big boys can just load up at a cheaper price. They don't want to load up at $8,000. They would rather load up at, you know, $5,000 support that I see, and maybe that $3,000, you know, really hard support as well too. Because really, I mean, the support that I see is that 5,000, that could be a soft support. If it crashes through it, really 3,000 should be bare bottom. You know, I don't see this thing really getting below $2,000. You know, 3,000 should be the bare bottom if it gets to that level. If enough FUD is being spread, if people are going to start panicking hardcore and not really start believing in, you know, Bitcoin as being the true Bitcoin, or BTC being the true Bitcoin. But yeah, it's a ploy for them to double up and buy in cheap.
Yeah, I agree completely.
And then what do you know? A week, 2 weeks down the road, you know, I mean, we got to think about it too. A week in crypto is almost like a month and a half. You know, really, I mean, if I miss a day of not really paying attention to the cryptocurrency market, it's like me missing a week. If you miss a week, it's like missing a month.
I mean, back blind, man.
Yeah, I mean, so much stuff happens. It's just like, man, like, what did I miss? But, you know, it's not that much time that really that goes by whatsoever. But yeah, you know, something that Keebs, welcome, by the way. And, you know, welcome, guys. You know, and sorry, I'm not really looking at the chat, but, you know, all you guys that are joining on this live stream, I do appreciate it. Keebs is asking about Bitfin expanding U.S. traders. Yeah, I saw the announcement today when I logged in. Basically popped up and said, you know, we're going to give you a couple days basically to get your money out. You know, so anybody that does have Bitfinex and you are a U.S. resident, yeah, get your money out. And I actually even tried to fool the system a little bit. And I was like, you know, let me use a VPN. So I used, I think it's called Hoxx, HOXX VPN. And I was like, you know, I'll just set it to Australia, see what happens. And it came back with my IP address. So, I mean, they're pinging your IP address. And
so the same way that, like, you know, I travel a lot. I do a bunch of this outreach stuff. And that's what I use a lot of my Bitcoin for. But I've been in other countries, and I like to watch Netflix, right? Who doesn't?
Yeah.
I got to use a VPN to watch some of the stuff that I want to watch.
Right.
It doesn't work anymore. The VPNs don't necessarily work anymore. I know I can do some of my own little, you know, stuff work, but even still, I'm better off just torrenting. So the days of like getting a lot of stuff done on the open internet with VPNs, they're pretty much coming to a close. And if you're buying and paying for a lot of VPN services now, you're just fooling yourself, because at the end of the day, your ISP, they know what you're doing, and they can just be like, all right,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you're right. The only thing that I see VPN is good for is if you want. Well, I don't know what that was, but if you want to connect to a different server, you know,
yes,
let's just say hypothetically,
purposes for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if the U.S. server is overloaded on an ICO that you want to get in, then use whatever, a server from Japan or a server from South Korea, wherever the ICO is located. That's really the only thing that it's good for. But yeah, trying to fool the system to thinking, you know what, I'm from Australia, I'm not from the U.S.
It also helps you stay anonymous to like prying eyes from other people.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, like, when my wife goes out to, Panera Bread or Starbucks and starts using my laptop, I'm like, make sure you connect to a VPN. I'm like, do not, have VPN turned off. So, I'll have her connect to a VPN from Australia or somewhere else. And then she can use a Wi-Fi. But yeah, it's, yeah, unfortunately. So, banning U.S. residents, it's probably one of the biggest mistakes they can make. I can see if they said, you know what, we're not going to allow any U.S. residents to join going forward, because we don't want to put up, with having to do all this type of verification. But any U.S. residents that already have an existing account with us can continue to use it. I would have been happy with that. And they would have probably gotten a shitload of people to just automatically join, just so, before that cutoff date. But for them to completely bar us, it's just, it's unethical. I think it's unfair. And hopefully they just crumble and die, without the U.S. resident.
Yeah. So I just got an alert about ETC moving.
What was the alert? Maybe that was what went off on my headset. I was like, what the hell was that sound?
I'm not able to check down and look at it yet.
Yeah, because ETC has really been a disappointment. It hasn't really done anything. Especially when I saw it drop below 10, I was thinking like, man, I'm like, this could actually even fall like $5, $6 or $7.
I wish, man.
Yeah, right. I mean, I remember. I mean, I bought it at $4, and I bought a shitload of it at $4. And then I bought more at $7, and I ended up making a huge profit. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna be buying this again unless it falls to a price where I'm comfortable. And it got to like $9.50, I think, or $9.75 before making a move up of 50%. A little over 50%. So, I mean, yeah, those are really the times to capitalize when they just been beat up and beat down. At some point they got to start coming back up. And as long as you're patient with it and you let it come to you. Those are perfect opportunities. David, welcome, buddy. Anybody else feeling the loss today? Yeah, I mean, if you're holding alts, I mean, they did great yesterday. And I think a lot of people, to be honest with you, probably held their alts thinking that, BTC is going to bleed more and these alts are going to start going up. But yeah, they definitely started bleeding. But yeah, I'm looking at ETC right now. ETC futures is up, a little over 20%. As ETC is actually up 8.5%, 8.6%. So that's pretty good for it. But yeah, everything else is just kind of bled. But the way I look at it is it's find your favorite alt, find something that you're passionate about, something that you've been following for a while, and more likely they're close to the bottom, where you might be interested in buying them. I haven't really, to be honest with you, I have not really been looking at alts to buy at the current time. I haven't at all. I bought BTC and I should have probably sold it when it got to like 325. I didn't sell any of it. And I was like, man, what was I thinking? Like I told myself I was going to sell it at 312. And then, 320 was that psychological level that it was going to have a hard time breaking, and it did break it. But what do we know? Came right back down and retested the $300.
Yeah, I did pretty well with Northwest cancellation. It was all luck on my end, and I had some orders in on alts just to get ready for what was coming with 2x. And I pretty much finished my orders like maybe 20 minutes before I hopped on your live stream and started talking about lists, because I was like, oh man, I don't know if I should even chase this one or not. And I was like, oh yeah. Traders on. Let's talk to the CTO. What's up, man?
Yeah.
And on that day, I made 2.9 BTC, and then the following day, I've already lost 0.9.
Wow.
So here's the deal, like patience in trading, it goes such a long way. If you're thinking you're losing big, just zoom out, Just zoom out, man. Go 4-hour candles, pull out.
Right.
Look at where you're at.
Right.
I still feel okay about my nine in a lot of these. Stop loss is triggered on a few.
Hey, for some reason, Oni, your microphone is cutting out.
Oh, hold on 1 second, man. I might be almost gonna lose you.
Not a problem. I'll get to some of the questions as I know there's a lot of questions on here or a lot of people joining. Crypto Cutter, what is up, buddy? Yeah, Oni is joining the live stream.
What's up, Rock?
He is on.
Yeah. Sorry, I had way too many charts open.
Keebs is saying they did it again and then canceled the ban. Now they announced another ban. Keebs, I'm assuming you're talking about Bitfinex or Craftfinex. Yeah, I don't know what other ban they announced. But yeah, Darkness, yeah, sorry, man. You can't use a VPN unless, you know, I don't know. This is what I'm going to try. And I'm going to try to actually, I mean, you know, they'll know my IP address, but I'll just see if I can fool the system. But I'll just try to set up a new account and see if I can actually use a VPN to set up a new account and then just continuously to see if I can get through to their system. And if I can get through and they allow me to open that account, then, you know, maybe that's the way I'll do it. But more than likely, it's probably not going to work, to be honest with you, considering they're pinging your IP address.
All right, that should do it.
Yeah, dude, much better with the quality now.
That's how I jack all the bandwidth from the rest of my family.
Oh, it's all good. But yeah, so talking about Lisk, so, you know, and we were covering that, you know, and we're really looking at the details of it. And, you know, I was looking at, you know, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, you know, 15 minutes, 30-minute chart. And really, I mean, it was coming down to that price. It was coming down to that first area of resistance. And then, you know, when I got off the live stream, I was like, yeah, you know, it'll make it. And then, you know, once 2X was called off, you know, that's kind of the first thing I did after basically looking at BTC, you know, watching it rise up to the top. I looked at Lisk and I was like, man, I'm like, this thing took off to like 750. And I was like, man, I feel bad for Oni. I was like, you know, he was looking to get in. I was like, you know, I was telling you to be patient. I'm like, just be patient, man. I'm like, it's going to make it down there. I'm like, you know, there is no confirmation of a breakout. Like, this is going to break down to this level. But man, you know, and I felt bad. I was like, shit, he could have probably made a very sizable profit on this. You know, if I didn't tell him to be patient and wait for that resistance to hit.
Oh man, I wasn't expecting that type of profit though, dude. No one could have foretold. You know?
Yeah, I don't think anybody was really expecting any of the push up that all these alts did when BTC started breaking down. Like I didn't expect anything at all. I mean, I was watching Neo and I was like, man, I'm like, Neo's up to like 31, 32 bucks. You know, I didn't.
I was able to grab Lisk right in the middle of its big green candle.
Okay.
And I rode it up to the top, and then I just got out before it had its downtrend. But other ones like ARK is doing me dirty right now. I am a BTC maximalist and an LTC maximalist. You guys know me. I'm LTC hardcore all the way. I love Litecoin so much, and I always have. Just like from what it was off the get go, I was, you know, like when I first heard about it. Really, when it first came on the scene, I was knocking it. But then once it, you know, was around $3 or no, $7 is when I started to pay attention to it. And I was like, oh man, this chain is, you know, second oldest chain, and it's just BTC, you know, but not. And it's also kind of become a test net for BTC. So it's got Segway, it's got Lightning. Both of them are evolving on that chain. Which is where Bitcoin should kind of ultimately go, in my opinion, now. You know, something like Bitcoin Cash, like with, you know, I guess you could say Ver is the ultimate, you know, Bitcoin maximalist, but I feel like you got to go with what is consensus of the user base, you know?
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer of Litecoin, Charlie Lee. I'm a big fan, and I think, you know, if you're looking for a solid investment, that's not going to be, and I mean, yeah, you know, it had its pump to 98 bucks. It did. And I wasn't expecting that at all. You know, I was expecting a nice gradual, you know, increase to the upside, but that pump was pretty crazy. But yeah, if you're looking for a solid investment, you know, something that's not going to be completely manipulated, you know, to the downside where it's going to go up 50% and then come down 70%. Yeah, it's definitely LTC. I'm a big fan of LTC. Yeah. You know, I wish I was still holding, you know, the 330 LTC that I had at a dirt cheap price. I forget what I bought it at, but it was dirt cheap, you know. But yeah, man, you know, LTC is definitely, I mean, you know, to be honest with you though, it's never going to overtake Ripple or XRP. You know, and that's the sad part.
Yeah,
that is the sad part.
I don't know, man.
Unless they increase the supply, that's the only way that it's going to make it up there. I mean, it would have to be like, you know, I haven't done the math yet, but off the top of my head, it'd have to go up to like $250 in order to even attempt to overtake Ripple at the current price that Ripple's at with the supply that it has. And we got to remember that Ripple, you know, or XRP is going to be flooding the market, you know, every year with like 1 billion or 2 billion coins. So there's just no way that it's going to ever overtake it. Unfortunately, you know, Ripple doesn't belong in the top 3 whatsoever. I mean, it should be LTC that's up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, for LTC to get up to 250, you know, I don't know if it's going to do it anytime soon. You know, it could do it. You know, maybe that might be like a 5-year plan for it.
I think we'll see another run into triple digits before the end of the year.
Yeah, triple digits, I can definitely see it, and there's really no reason that it's not.
We'll probably retrace back to 85.
Yeah. There's really no reason that LTC is not at 100 right now, or at least consolidating in that $100 range. You know, there's really no reason at all, considering how much the overall market.
That's the reason.
Well, yeah, that's the reason. Exactly. Yeah, Bitcoin Cash and, you know, Bitcoin Gold and any other forks that come out. You know, people are going to be putting money into it, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, Litecoin is very solid, and it's definitely something that, you know, should be, you know, bought at a very reasonable price and just lock it away. You know, put on a hardware wallet, put the hardware wallet somewhere where, you know, you're not going to be tempted to sell it. And I wish I would have held on to my Litecoins that I had, you know, over 300 Litecoins that I purchased at one point.
Yeah, man.
And that was the same thing with, you know, with F as well too. And I definitely want to cover F. But yeah, that's the same thing with F. You know, I had like 430 F, you know, at like a dirt cheap price. And I mean, I took nice profit off of it, but I'm like, man, the profit that I could have had, you know, if I would have sold everything. I mean, you know, the last thing I remember selling, I think I sold 10 at $400 and I still had like 5 left over, and I sold the extra 5, you know, as it was dipping. I think I got out with like $330, you know, before it really dipped to like $130. But, you know, I definitely want to cover F though. But yeah, let me get to a couple comments. You know, a couple things that I don't like about F, and, you know, we'll get your opinions on it as well too, Oni. And then, you know, maybe if anybody has any comments about F to kind of chime in, they're more than welcome to do that. Joe Mama, what is up, buddy? Oh man, I thought you were banned, but you're back. No, I'm joking. I know you were banned at one point. Yeah, we brought you back though. But yeah, let me see your comment. Where is it? Oh, damn, I thought you were white. You know, that was a comment that somebody left on, I don't know if you saw that on one of the videos that I did. Actually, it was an interview that I did with Daniel.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, you know what, you know, and I should have probably responded a different way. Now I'm assuming he went ahead and deleted the comment because it wasn't flagged by me at all. It wasn't flagged by anybody. But he probably felt bad and deleted that comment. But I was like, man, well, you know, an educated black man, you know, has to be white in order to talk proper. And I was like, this is crazy. And I'm like, you know, what type of stereotype is this? But yeah, I think I responded in a negative way. And I was like, what, I got to be white in order to talk proper? But yeah, I mean, I had a laugh out of it. You know, my wife laughed as well too. And she was like, yeah, I mean, she's like, you talk proper. And I was like, well, yeah, I got a good education, you know, not that, you know, public schools are bad, cause you know, my kids do go to public schools, but I mean, you know, I went to private school all my life. I went to I can't even talk cause of this beer. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I went to prep school, you know, all my life. You know, ever since 2nd grade, I was in Catholic school, and, you know, my parents, you know, I mean, you know how Eritrean parents are, you know, because you basically told me that you were raised, you know, by you know, an Eritrean person.
A whole community, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And, you know, I mean, you know, it's strict parent household, and my dad was a brigadier general in the Eritrean army. So, I mean, he was strict, you know, so there was no messing around at all. There was no hanging out in the street, in the corner, you know, hanging out with thugs. You know, my dad was like, you know, yes, you can have friends, but, you know, your main friend should be your book. So, I mean, I studied a lot, you know, and, you know, and did what I needed to do. Had some great jobs working for corporate America. But yeah, I thought that comment was funny. But yeah, thanks, Joe Mama. Let's see. Anyone here have Doge coin? Yes, my son does have Doge, but you know, I don't think he's going to do anything with them. He doesn't want to sell it. I asked him the other day if he wants to sell it, but he's going to continue with it. So, but yeah, I'm not able to get to all the comments, but you know, let's talk about F real quick. So the issue I have with F, and I kind of mentioned it on the last live stream. And for anybody that's not drinking a beer, I mean, definitely grab a beer. This is courtesy of my buddy Scott M. I don't think you're on the live stream today, but it's Matt Elf from 2000. 16. He actually came by and brought me brought a 6-pack for us. I had one, he drank 2, but yeah, he buys them, every year, buys a couple cases, and then labels them and kind of saves them. So he's got a couple cases from 2015, and he decided to bring a 2016 Mad Elf. So cheers to anybody that's drinking a beer. But yeah, the issue I see with F is that there's way too many ICOs that are being created on their platform, and a lot of these ICOs, as we know it, are nothing but scams. And as long as these scam ICOs are being created on the Ethereum blockchain, what are they going to do with the F that they're getting? They're going to dump them instantly, right away. They can care less about holding them. It's only the reputable ICOs that are being created that are, have some sort of an idea that's going to disrupt this industry, that are more likely going to probably hold on to the F as an investment. Yes, they might sell a little bit, but they're not going to dump every single F that they receive from these ICOs. And that's really what's holding F, back from hitting, a $500 range, or at least consolidating in that $500 range. There's really no reason that F should be in this current price funk that it's at. And it's been in this price range for, I don't know, an extended period of time. So, I said it on the last live stream, only I don't know if you were on, but, I've given up all hope on Ethereum or F doing anything spectacular, like we're seeing it with a lot of these cryptocurrencies. And, Bitcoin Cash could be to blame, but I think you also have these ICOs that are being created left and right that are definitely to blame for this price action movement. But what are your thoughts on that?
I got a couple, man. Man, I've been talking, at conspiracy theories for years, just because I'm not a fan. It is held down by its ICO market, for sure. Anytime it gets up to, the high 300s, it jumps back down because these guys that hold all these F from ICOs are hitting paper, man. They're trying to get some Bitcoin to get some money. And that's really kind of, holding it back. My original thought on what F could be, with smart contracts aside, was it was going to be for communication, like the way my car talks to the street light, and the way it's for the Internet of Things type of thing going on. But then IoT came out, and that kind of changed that up a little bit. But yeah, man, it's just it really shot itself in its foot, man. It really did. Just because, and even Vitalik came out, and there was a tweet. I can't honestly find it real quick. Yeah, he basically told ICOs that they're doing it wrong. That the majority of them are messing up, and it's holding that back, kind of.
So
many words.
Okay, so Vitalik is coming out and saying that, but what does he want to do about it?
Nothing,
exactly, yeah. And the analogy that I would put is, nobody can just go ahead and create something for the App Store and have it listed right away. Apple does their due diligence. There's a lot of apps that they just deny that cannot be listed on the App Store whatsoever. And I think, and I've said it in the past, that's what maybe, the Ethereum developers need to do, and Vitalik, is that, any ICO that's going to be created on their platform, they need to look at the source code, they need to look at the white paper, and then determine, is this shady? Is this scammy? Is this something that, we want it to be exposed to the people that are buying Ethereum? And if they can, I know it's going to require a lot of manpower, a lot of time on their part to review all these crazy ICOs, but maybe that's something that they need to do, but is it at the point where they can really care less because, they're already millionaires? Well, I shouldn't say millionaires. They're already billionaires, basically. So I don't think money is really an object to them. As long as the more ICOs are being created on their platform and people are willing to buy the F to basically, put into these scammy ICOs, they can care less. But yeah, I think to make the system, somewhat solid with the ICOs that are being created, that's something that they have to do. Not really put out a statement saying, some of them are shady. Actually do something about it. Words are just words. I want to see some action. Until that happens, like I said, I've given up hope on F.
DEF CON just happened, and there's some stuff in the works, and I'm keeping an eye on it. But I sold my F at all-time high, and I haven't gotten back in.
Yeah,
I only hold one F in my wallets that require me to have some F to move my ERCs around.
Yeah, exactly, and that's about all that you need to do. Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, last time I sold F, I bought it recently, probably 7-8 days ago, for $286.83. I only bought 2.3. But yeah, prior to that was really when I had, I caught a nice crash. It was like at $250, and it came down to like 177, and I just happened to put in a low ball offer, caught it, and I ended up taking profit along the way. But yeah, last time I sold it was, it hit 400, I sold 10, and it started coming down at 330. I sold, and that was it before it came down to 130. But yeah, I haven't really bought it ever since then, except for just recently. And you're right. And the only reason why I bought it is just to be able to move things around. I started getting, for some apparent reason, huge drops and airdrops. And I didn't realize. I was like, whoa, I'm like, this ERC20 account that I have has got all these, airdrop coins. And I was like, where the hell they come from? I didn't know, because I was holding, I guess, F at that time when they did the snapshot. But I ended up getting like, IBTC, some XNN, some JavaScript, just basically a shitload of crap coins that I ended up getting. And I was like, oh, this is great. And I'm like, whoa, I can't move it. I don't have F. Even if I wanted to sell on Ether Delta, I'm like, I can't do anything. So I was like, I guess I got to buy some F now, just to have a little bit of F for the gas to be able to spend it. But yeah, so, that's the only reason why I bought it. But other than that, I think I'm going to stay away from F until something really changes. And if something changes where, the price is going to be somewhat solid and we're going to have a nice, uptick, with a little bit of correction here and there, because that's healthy to have that type of correction. But not this funk that it's in, this $300 funk, that it just can't seem to be able to get out of, because every time it gets a nice little uptick, these scammy ICOs are just like, you know what, we're going to dump it for fiat instantly. And then that just causes the price to come down. Let's see what people are asking. Oh man, BitConnect. Who's asking about BitConnect? Let's see, Davey. And I'm sorry if I missed some of the comments from above it, but I'm just trying to, just get to whatever comment catches my eyes. I said my friend is making bank off BitConnect. Know anything about it? And then somebody's asking Sunspawn, BitConnect. Anyone care to address that? BitConnect is a Ponzi. Yeah, you know what? Let's go ahead and address BitConnect if you don't mind, Oni.
Yeah.
Because I know there's a lot of people that are in it. My take on it is, we all know that it is a Ponzi scam. It's, basically it's new money is paying old money.
They just picked up by
HBTC or Hit BTC.
No. Like actual people that do big moves with BitConnect. There's an article. It's being looked at for fraud and for Ponzi in the UK.
Are they?
They're in
wow.
trouble, yeah. They're
okay.
on the radar, man. They're under the microscope.
I didn't see that. I did not hear about that. I didn't see that. I think it's about time. It really is about time.
Yeah, man. I was really vocal about, if you guys love cryptocurrency, denounce BitConnect and scams like it every chance you get, because it makes us all look bad. If there's anything like that out there, just tell everybody, and don't ever shut up about it. The same way that, like, I have never quit talking about Bitcoin for the last 8-7 years, and I've annoyed all my friends until now. They're all going, how do I get in? What do I do? Oh my God. Just don't shut up, pontificate about the awesomeness of crypto and just shoot down anything that's a Ponzi, man.
Yeah. The problem is, though, I don't think they're all going to die. I mean, if BitConnect does die, there's going to be something else that pops up. And
of course, that's why we got to remain ever vigilant and just vocal.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And I forget what it was, but I got an email from somebody asking me to do a review, and they were like, how do I contact you about doing a review? And I was like, well, just send me a private message. Send me a private message, and I didn't know what it was. I just thought it was an ICO, and I clicked on it, and I'm like, I'm reading it, and I'm like, dude, this is another basically BitConnect. That's what it is. It's another form of BitConnect, and I was like, holy shit. I'm like, if this is coming out, there's a bunch of other ones that are going to be coming out. And who knows? They're all not going to survive. I don't think they're all going to be able to do what BitConnect has done already, even though BitConnect is a scam. It's only a matter of time before BitConnect really closes up shop and says, you know what? Now we can't afford to pay the old money because there is no new money that's coming in, and it's eating away at the owner's profit. And once it starts eating away at the owner's profit, they're going to close up shop. They will close up shop. And I don't know if you guys saw the video, Oni. I don't know if you saw that music video that BitConnect put out.
What was
Oh, dude.
The cringiest thing ever. Oh, hold on, man. The beer man's here. Yeah,
Beer man's here.
Yeah, I just about 20 minutes before we started, I ordered a 6-pack off the internet.
Oh, nice, dude. That's perfect. Door-to-door service. But yeah, that video, I don't know if you guys saw it. Was hilarious. Was hilarious. And I try to get my wife. My wife is Asian, and I love her to death. But yeah, I try to get her to say, "What's up? What's up? What's up? Big connect." And she started saying it, and I was like, "Man, I should record this thing and put it up on YouTube." And she was like, "Why do you want me to say it?" And I was like, "This is the funniest thing ever." But yeah, Darkness, yeah, the Big Connect proof video. But yeah, dude, it's just you know, I mean, whoever's involved in it. I mean, I can't tell you what to do, to be honest with you. You got to make that decision on your own. But, you know, just be careful. You know, it's only a matter of time before they do close up shop and take everybody's money. You know, I mean, ICOs have done it in the past. And there's, you know, Big Connect can do it easily. So, you know, if you have profits, be happy with it, lock in those profits. You know, it's only going to be a matter of time before they do close up shop and take everybody's money. So, you know, you gotta tread very carefully, very carefully.
All right.
Let's see. BitConnect already drained $150,000 of Craig Grant's tokens. Did they really? See, I didn't hear about this. I'm completely out of the loop. I am completely out of the loop. You know, I don't really follow, you know, Trevon James or Craig Grant. I did follow Trevon James, you know, a long time ago when I first started into cryptocurrency, because, you know, he wasn't really into, you know, these Ponzi scams. The minute that I stopped following him was when he was running some sort of scam. And I figured how that scam went was, you know, he got so many people to kind of put in, you know, 0.05 Bitcoins. And then out of, you know, and he picked like the top 5 contributors. So, you know, minimum was like 0.05 Bitcoins you had to put in. And, you know, or you can put in more than that. So what he did was he picked, you know, the top 5 that put in the most, and he divvied up, you know, everybody's Bitcoin and gave it to them. And I was like, man, what kind of scam is this kid running? But yeah, ever since then, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be following him anymore. But yeah, I did not hear about.
His most recent thing is he wants everyone to download a .exe file on their computers so you can to enter a 1 BTC giveaway.
Wow, so he's trying to scam people.
Straight up, man.
You know, into basically hacking their account. If that is him, I don't know if that is him. I mean, I can't say. But yeah,
it was on his YouTube.
Really? Oh my God.
You got the 1 BTC giveaway, download thing.
And yeah, let me hack you. Let me get into your system. And yeah, you know, that's why, man, I'm very leery about, you know, and to kind of talk about security just a little bit, you know, I'm very leery about, you know, what links I click on and things like that. You know, I got a MacBook Pro, you know, from 2010 that I completely wiped. And it's very rare that it's connected to the internet. I mean, occasionally here and there, I'll connect it to the internet to do something. But yeah, that's really where, you know, everything is kind of stored. And, you know, if I need to hook up my Trezor to it, I hook it up to it. You know, any wallets that I have, you know, that are on the hard drive, they're stashed on that. But yeah, I mean, you know, I would never, you know, click on a link that somebody sends me, or even, you know, trust a link that somebody would send you, to be honest with you. You know, I would rather, you know, have a computer that I don't do anything with if I'm going to be clicking on links. You know, so if that computer does end up getting a virus, you know what, my main system is not affected whatsoever. But yeah, try to keep that separate, to be honest with you guys. If you guys are clicking on links left and right and you have your cryptocurrency stored on your hard drive, you know, I would be very careful. You know, I mean, you got to take security very, very serious. You know, because if it can happen to one person, it can happen to you. And there's tons of people that have had their shit stolen.
I can't speak enough on, you know, having a Trezor, having a ledger, and having paper wallets that you make, you know, offline.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be safe. And really, you can't take security, you know, lighthearted. You know, like, so, you know, having that Trezor or having a, you know, I don't even know if keys is worth it anymore, but, you know, having the Ledger Nano S and paper wallet, you know, that's the best route to take. You know, secure your stuff. You know, it took me a while, to be honest with you guys, you know, before I got a Trezor, you know, a hardware wallet. It took me a while. And then, you know, I forget who it was, and they just kept on saying, you know what, dude, like, you need to get a hardware wallet. Like, dude, you need to get a hardware wallet. Like, dude, you should have a hardware wallet. And finally it sunk in, and I was like, man, like, this kid is absolutely right. Like, I need to have a hardware wallet. And, you know, and I've exposed a lot of stuff, you know, for my YouTube channel. I mean, I was trading on the exchange, you know, while I was live streaming, you know, from that actual exchange. And I was like, man, I'm like, you know, I've exposed.
What?
Well, dude, if you watch, you know, my early live streams, you know, when I first started live streaming, I mean, I was trading from, you know, GDAX, and I would, log on to GDAX. Of course, I had 2FA set up, which was kind of probably what helped me. But, I would be live streaming GDAX and logging in, live streaming Gemini and logging in, so people got to see my user ID. They didn't see my password, of course. And, they probably got to see my, my 2FA for maybe, I would say, because 2FA changes every 30 seconds. So, and I was waiting probably like, 10 seconds before it ended, and I would put in, my 6-word, my 6-number password. But yeah, man, I exposed myself a lot back in the day. And, it just, I didn't really think about it, to be honest with you. That shit could really happen. And if somebody really wanted to hack me at that moment, like they could have hacked me, There's a lot of people that are out there that are very, very savvy. And if they really wanted to get you, if they were really out to get you, they'll get you. There's nothing stopping them at all.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's a lot easier than you guys think too, man. Especially now with Wi-Fi. It's like,
yeah,
I don't want to get into too much, but like, I mean, if I ever wanted to, I could see what the majority of my neighbors are looking at. Right? And like, I'm okay, but like, it's just that simple. It's just a Pringles can antenna, and like, you're not like your passwords. It's whatever. It's really, really easy, especially since most people are now on their phones.
Yeah.
And they use, cross-account stuff.
It's easy to crack. It is easy to
log in on your phone. I can log in on your computer from my computer from anywhere.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. That's why, I started, not logging into the exchanges that I'm using. I started using TradingView and Crypto Watch more, where I wasn't actually using the exchanges that I was using to trade on. But yeah. I mean, if anybody wanted to hack me and they really determined to hack me, dude, I could get hacked easily. I think any of us can get hacked if they were really determined and they were out to get us, to be honest with you. And I don't know, maybe that's what's happening with Craig Grant, because somebody did say I think they had 150 coins missing or something to that extent. Yeah,
I like doing that every time I open up my Exodus wallet. I go, "This is my Bitcoin. I earned it. I earned it."
Well, dude, I mean, every video,
time,
because I do go in and kind of watch a little bit of my videos just to make sure the audio quality is up to par. And as soon as I hit play on my video, it's like, dude, he's the first person that comes on, with his infomercial. And I'm just like, dude, you got to be kidding me. And then his girl gets on as well, too. And I'm like, man, they're taking over this YouTube infomercial in this crypto space. Like, this is crazy.
Somebody in the CTR Slack chat posted a link. I think it might have been Dr. 10. Or it could have been ECS, but man, it was crazy, dude. It was this whole link on about how Craig and his wife or whatever were like running scams like back in the day on like marriage stuff or some crazy stuff like that. And I was like, whoa, dude.
Like a Russian mail order bride.
Yeah, some weird stuff. That's here or there. I don't want to say anything about anybody that I don't know is true or not, but I was just like, holy shit, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, yeah, I think that was Trevon James that was doing that, and I think Craig Grant was running a Nigerian or an African type of scam, where they were scamming, married husbands and trying to embezzle money out of them, saying, what, we're going to tell your wife, because I guess his girlfriend was posing as somebody on a dating site, something to that extent. But yeah, dude, it's fucked up. It's fucked up, to be honest with you. And, I don't know. Yeah, we won't really get into it, but, bad shit happens to bad people for some apparent reason. And I guess, from what Darkness was saying, and I guess I'll have to research it, but he was like, just type it in the search bar, should work, $150,000 hack or technical glitch, something to that extent. But yeah, I guess he got hacked. And yeah, this shit taken.
It was my Bitcoin.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, to be honest with you, yeah, that's what I'm waiting for. Yeah, for him to be like, I had this Bitcoin and now it's all gone. I don't have it anymore. But yeah, good things happen to good people. I'm a firm believer of karma, and I won't tell this crazy story about karma. But I had a dog. He was about 2.5 months old. So I just had him for about 2 weeks. And I had another dog. She was so the dog, the little puppy that I had was a black lab border collie pit bull, and then I had a 3 years old Jack Russell Beagle, and she hated him. To be honest with you, she hated him. So she kind of lured him out into the street, And while I wasn't paying attention, and this car was going like 30, 40 miles per hour on the side street and plowed him. And I mean, drug him for like 15 yards.
Jesus.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, he broke his thigh bone in half, tore a hole in his diaphragm. His intestines, stomach was all the way down to his chest cavity. I mean, it was bad, dude. It was bad. And, you know, out of nowhere. And I mean, he cried. I mean, he yelped, cried, you know, because I mean, he got run over by a car. He got drugged. I mean, this guy comes out of nowhere. He lived like 2 blocks away. And, you know, he was traumatized by it because his dog had gotten hit by a car and died. I mean, you know, and called his mom out in California. And I mean, I was a starving college kid, man. So like, you know, I had a part-time job, going to school full time. You know, I was at a point where I was like, you know, I got to put him to sleep. Like, I don't have money to fix this dog. Like, I really don't, even though I want him to live. But yeah, so he was traumatized. He called his mom out in California. Dude, she donates $400. Him and his girlfriend, they were grad students, PhD students. You know, they round up money and donate $300 for a total of $700, and that's what he needed to kind of live. You know, to basically, you know, pull his stomach and intestines down and stitch up his chest cavities. You know, he needed that to live. So like, you know, they were traumatized by it, and they're like, you know, we rounded up all this money, you know, because, you know, we're fond of dogs and we see you walking your dog all the time. And, you know, we know that you love dogs. And I was like, man, like, you know, karma definitely comes back in positive ways.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And he basically even said to me, he was like, you know, good things happen to good people. And he's like, you know, we can tell that you're a good person. And I was like, man, thank you so much. You know, so I'm a firm believer of karma, where, you know, good things happen to good people and bad things, you know, happen to bad people. And, you know, unfortunately, bad people get hacked. You know, with that being said, let's move on to a different topic. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy. It is crazy. But yeah, let's see what other people are saying, and maybe, you know, cover some other topics aside from, you know, Kirk Grant and Teron James.
That seems to be the topic right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, I think, yeah, yeah, honestly, yeah, exactly. But yeah, dude, Ramen, yeah, let's talk C20. Let's talk C20. And Sunspawn is also saying, couldn't do C20. I wouldn't risk it with the US law crap. Yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, let's talk C20. Because I'm very passionate about C20. And, you know, I've talked to Oni briefly about C20. But yeah, unfortunately, it sucks for US residents, you know, where we can't get in. I interviewed Daniel, you know, the founder and CEO of Crypto20. And he also invited me to, well, actually, he didn't invite me. I basically asked him, I said, hey, you know what, you're going to be in New York City. You know, is there any discount for tickets for, you know, C20 advocates? Because really, I am a C20 advocate. And he was like, dude, he's like, I'll get you free tickets. And tickets were like $1,900 for VIP tickets for this blockchain economic forum in New York City. So he got me a free ticket to it. And I was like, well, dude, why would I not go? I mean, you know, it'd be a great time to hang out with him too. So, you know, we went out and had lunch and, you know, hung out, you know, the whole day, basically. You know, the day before that, the economic forum kind of started. Awesome dude, awesome guy, very knowledgeable, very passionate about what they're doing. And, you know, I'm a firm believer that what they're bringing onto this market is something that's going to really revolutionize the industry, because there aren't really anything that's solid that's out there that's an index fund, you know, where it really tracks the top 20 cryptocurrencies. You know, and one thing that I do like about, you know, what they're doing is they're not greedy whatsoever. You know, so 98% of the funds is being invested into, you know, the top 20 cryptocurrencies, which is nice. So 2% kind of goes to, you know, managing, you know, whatever it is that they have to manage, you know, paying rent, paying utilities and things like that. That doesn't really go into their pockets at all. It's just to keep the operation running, you know, because they do have expenses and whatnot. But, you know, even if they were taking 5% and putting in 95% of the funds into, you know, C20, it wouldn't be that bad at all, to be honest with you. But, you know, they are keeping 13% of whatever is sold. So let's just say hypothetically they meet the max cap of 75 million tokens that they do sell, which I'll be honest with you, I don't see them selling 75 million, even though I'm a firm believer of this project. I don't really see them selling 75 million, considering they're just barely getting over $8 million or 8 million coins right now. But, you know, whatever they do sell, you know, so let's just say, you know, they sell the 75 million, you know, 11 million or 13 million, something to that extent, will basically go to them, and that'll be vested over a period of 2 years. So, you know, whatever it might be, you know, a quarter of it might be vested every 6 months, up to 2 years, something to that extent. But there isn't anything out there that's going to be coming out where there's a lot of transparency that's happening, where you have a very solid team, where they rebalance on a weekly basis and are going to track the top 20. So one token, one C20 token, is going to give you access to the top 20 cryptocurrencies. So, you know, Bitcoin, Litecoin, and I'm trying to think, well, Ethereum are the top three basically, you know, because they're going to exclude a couple other coins. You know, they're going to allocate maybe 10%, 10%, 10% to those top three. And then the rest will have a different type of allocation. So let's just say hypothetically a crap coin comes out of nowhere and it's, you know, that week of them rebalancing. So let's just say every Friday they rebalance. On a Thursday, a crap coin comes in and falls in the top 20. Yes, they'll buy into it, but they're only going to buy into it. Maybe, you know, 1.5% of the funds will go into that cryptocurrency or token or coin, whatever it is. But if it falls out the following week at the time of the rebalancing, then it'll instantly be sold off and that money would be allocated into something else. So, you know, I mean, if you guys aren't US residents, I would highly recommend it. You know, you really, you know, because trading cryptocurrency, I'll be honest with you guys, it's stressful. I mean, Oni, I'm sure you know that it's probably one of the most stressful things that anybody could ever do. There's no way that you could sit there and watch this market 24/7, you know, without aging and without driving yourself crazy. But, you know, their autonomous system is able to instantly be able to trade once a week, you know, without really any type of people managing it on a daily basis. The only type of management that it's going to have is to say, you know what, this gets a seal and approval. So, you know, of course, FConnect, BitConnect, you know, Tether are not going to have that seal of approval. So really, they're going to look at some of these coins and say, okay, you want, this coin is not going to be included. This coin is not going to be included. This coin is not going to be included if they end up getting into the top 20. So that's really the only human interaction that that fund is going to have. Aside from that, there is no human interaction that that fund needs, to be honest with you, you know, because once a week, it's going to automatically rebalance to whatever's in the top 20. So I don't know, Oni, I don't know if you had a chance to kind of review Crypto 20 or even look into it, but yeah, what are your thoughts on it about being an index fund?
I like it a lot, man. It's an index fund for crypto. It's awesome, but I can't. I have to wait until it gets, you know, listed in his Bible in the U.S. for me to dabble.
Yeah, and that's the only thing. So, you know, and I'm sure Sunspawn, you're asking, you know, you'd love to buy some C20. Is anybody selling? Yeah, and that's really the only way to get it. So, you know, if you're now Daniel, you know, he has been talking about having accredited, you know, U.S. investors, so they can have up to 99. Possibly, it hasn't been solidified yet, but there is a possibility that, you know, they could have up to 99 U.S. accredited investors, and to be accredited, you know, I forget, you know, what the criteria was, you know, $200,000 in revenue, you know, it might have been like $250,000 in, you know, savings, but, you know, they are going to do their due diligence, you know, they are going to do credit check. They're going to, you know, look at bank statements, things like that, to make sure that you are accredited. And if you are accredited, there is a possibility that you could actually take part into C20 currently right now while the ICO is happening. And, you know, if you go on C20's Slack chat or website, there is a PDF that they put out talking about that. And they're trying to really gauge some interest about, you know, what U.S. resident that's accredited is possibly interested in taking part in this fund. And if you're an accredited U.S. investor, I would highly recommend filling out that form, whatever that form is. I haven't looked at it, and submitting that, because there is a possibility that U.S. investors can get into it. I'm not accredited, to be honest with you. So I think a lot of people that are on my live stream are probably not accredited. No offense, you know, to anybody.
I'm not accredited, man.
Yeah, I'm not either.
If I was accredited, it would be BTC, and there would be no way for me to prove anything about that. You know,
right? Exactly.
I want to keep looking poor on paper in the eyes of the IRS, man. I didn't just say that though.
No, I did ask Daniel a question though, and I said, you know, can we get a combined 5 U.S. residents, you know, our total income, and become accredited? But he didn't respond to that question. So I think I'm going to keep hounding him about that and say, hey, you know what? I got 5 people, combined income. Yes. You know, we're $1 million. So, you know, can we become accredited? You know, can we joint collectively buy into this fund, you know, as an entity? So we would basically create an entity, you know, we'll call it the, I don't know, the Oni and Jonas CTR. Yeah, we'll figure out a nice name for the entity. But yeah, can an entity, you know, which, you know, 5 or 10 people, you know, can that become accredited? So I'll still, you know, try to pry into it a little more. But the answer is probably no, to be honest with you guys. I don't think he's going to say yes. I think it has to be an individual.
You don't want
person.
to mess with the big cats, man.
No, and that's the problem. U.S. regulations, you know, the SEC. I mean,
they're scary.
Yeah, dude.
They can shut you down in the whole entire world.
Yeah.
If America doesn't like the way you're doing business, other countries will follow.
Yeah. And I think, you know, if I ever become rich from cryptocurrency, I think I'm going to have to renounce my U.S. citizenship. You know,
You're gonna get audited if you do, dude.
dude, they audit you, really?
Yeah, if
Wow.
you you're like, I should never taken it, damn it.
Damn it.
Even though it was life and death at the point you did, probably, man.
Right. Well, actually,
Yeah.
I think that my only exit is, if I go back home, back to my country, and I join the military, then because I'm really, I do have dual citizenship, so that would basically probably make me instantly renounce my U.S. citizenship because I'm bearing arms. I'm bearing arm with a different country. But yeah, if I go back home and they force me to do military service, then yeah, I think U.S. would probably instantly renounce my U.S. citizenship.
There's so much question about taxation in the crypto sphere. Here in the U.S., it isn't really clear if they want to tax every trade or if they only want to tax you if you cash out via capital gains. So
Yeah.
my best advice is to, really keep track of every single trade you have done in an Excel spreadsheet. Keep that there, man. And, just don't cash out. Last year, I think they said it was 15,000 U.S. residents put cryptocurrency and Bitcoin on their
Wow.
on
Only 15,000. That's nothing.
Yeah, I think this year's gonna be a lot more different. And
Yeah.
I think for sure this year's gonna be a lot. And I think this year they're also gonna look at it a lot harder.
So I think, the biggest problem with that is, a lot of people probably assume that, I'm not going to get caught. So let's think about Coinbase, how many customers they have. And let's compare Coinbase to, Scottrade or TD Ameritrade. So, Scottrade, TD Ameritrade, heavily US regulated stock exchanges are required to provide the IRS with a 1099. So they'll send me a 1099. They'll also send the IRS a 1099 to make sure that I put in my profit loss and my profit gains on my tax return. So they already have access to that. I think, in order for any US crypto exchanges, in order for them to stay in business, they're going to have to work with the IRS. They're going to have to work with regulations, and they're going to have to provide each US customer that's using their exchange a 1099 or something to that extent. And they're also
1099 from Gemini or
Oh no, dude! Exactly, yeah, same here. I've never gotten it, and they're also going to have to probably provide, the IRS with that same 1099. So then the IRS is going to know exactly, what you traded cryptocurrency, and you did not fill out your taxes. You did not include those in your taxes. I mean, eventually that's what it's going to come down to. I don't know what's going to happen with 2017 taxes. I mean, I'm going to pay my taxes. I will. Unfortunately, I mean, I don't want them to come after me, a couple years down the road. And I'll tell you guys a funny story, and it's not really that funny. But yeah, when I first started trading a long time ago, I mean, I was in college, I would trade part-time and I didn't file taxes, but I got a letter from the IRS a year and a half later, and I did this for 2 years. You know what? The doorbell's ringing. So my kids just got home. Hold on a second, guys. But I'd be happy to tell the story, but I got to open that door for my kids. They're with me, man. Yeah, they're locked out. They're like, open the door. All right, I'll be right back.
Oh man. Let's see.
Nice music. I like it. Sweet. So, all right. So to kind of make the story short, so, I mean, when I was in college, I was, trading part-time and whatnot, and I didn't really have a job. So I figured, I don't have to file taxes. But yeah, what do you know? A year and a half later, and this happened for 2 years. A year and a half later, I get a letter from the IRS saying, you know what, this is what you owe in taxes, because I got a 1099, but I didn't think anything about it. They got a 1099. And then I was like, oh man, I was like, if I'm getting a letter for that year, I was like, I'm also going to get a letter for the following year. So I ended up paying so much in penalties. So the one year I had huge profits, the following year I had a loss, but I still had to pay the penalty because I didn't file my taxes and I didn't put down my, capital loss or my capital gains. But yeah, ever since then, I was like, man, I was like, even if I don't have a job, I'm going to have to make sure to go ahead and just list all my profit loss, my profit gains, because they have a copy of that 1099. And to be honest with you, as long as you have profit gains, they're going to come after you. They will. Uncle Sam wants his cut, and there's no way to avoid it, unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's not a bad thing, man. A lot of people, I'm a full-blown libertarian, crypto anarchist. I have been for a long time. I believe my money's starting to live without borders, and therefore, so should all of us. And I would say that as someone who's like, like a hardcore libertarian Texan, it's like I hate globalism, but at the same time now because of crypto, I'm like, globalism is kind of awesome. Taxes, we all hate paying them, but they build our roads, they do a bunch of other stuff. They get misallocated grossly.
Yes.
And I think as a libertarian, it's such a mouthful. I can't even care to say it anymore. I believe in small federal government and state government so I'm a little more right-leaning fiscally, socially on the left, but taxes are just ridiculous. They're way too high, and I'm in the lower income bracket, right? Because I'm an EMT. I'm a first responder. I get paid very little for what I do.
Right.
And man, it was crazy. Like with Obamacare, that was nuts, man. The first year they wanted me to pay, $300, $400 a month for my health insurance. I don't have any dependents. I'm a single dude.
That's a lot.
But it's a lot, man.
Yeah.
And then it got even worse. It got even crazier. So and then they want to tax me too on top of it. And it's just like, or tax me double if I don't pay that fee.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is, the taxes could definitely be, allocated to something better. Reducing healthcare. In Canada, you don't have to pay, a single dime, when you go to the hospital. I mean, yes, you pay for it in taxes, from your paycheck, things like that.
You also pay for it in time, which is like the only thing you actually own in your life.
Right.
If you guys are all listening right now, the only thing you're ever going to own in your life is the time it's comprised of. So make something happen.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's short.
Yeah. You're absolutely right.
And in Canada, if you have a serious illness happen to you, God forbid, or like some sort of major injury, you get taken care of right away.
Yep.
If you have like the flu or the cold, you get put on a list, and you have to like go to the government doctor like at that time. You have to be there for your appointment. You're gonna end up waiting 4 or 5 hours in the waiting room, and then you finally get seen. But here's the kicker, right? By the time people actually get their appointment for their minor stuff that they have going on, they're already better just from like waiting it out. Half my family's Canadian, so we like to joke about that.
Yeah, I rarely go to the hospital. I mean, when I was sick with this virus, and then I think this virus turned into a flu and then into a cold, it's only, if it's life and death. That's the only reason why that I personally go. Like my kids, when they get sick, I'll take them. But with me, man, like I fight it out with, antibiotics, take some NyQuil, some Dayquil, try to drink a lot of fluid. But yeah, it's very rare that I do go to the hospital. But, speaking of taxes, just real quick, and I don't know how you feel about this, but, I think, majority of our taxes really goes to fund war.
The majority of our taxes goes to fund war, and it's horrible. Just
exactly.
By existing in America, we're funding things that we don't agree with necessarily.
Yeah. Yep. It's to build those drones, to kill innocent, children and innocent, mothers. Yes, they are, killing some bad people as well too. But it's like, imagine the amount of innocent people that are dying, because of my taxes. And then is that what I want it to go to? I'd rather have it go to something good.
It goes way beyond that when you look at so like years before the Al-Assad regime started, doing some less than awesome stuff. Me and like a group that I work with, like I guess you call them my partners. We've brought people over from Syria before there was a major conflict there. I have brought using Bitcoin. I brought 8 families to the United States through legal channels. They're now legal citizens. And I got them all jobs in various kitchens that I had been chefs in all throughout the United States because, I've spent my whole life cooking and traveling. You know, then our taxes go to set up this proxy war, which eventually led to the creation of the rebels, in parentheses, which is really just, you know, ISIS, if you want to call them that.
Yep.
And then all the debt that spun up from there, it came from that extra 33 cents of your soda. It came from, you know, the money that's skimmed off the top of your paycheck. And that shit just breaks my heart. It's like, damn, dude, for real. And then that's when you hear people saying, like, America's evil. You're like, dude, what do you mean evil? I'm just like, you know, buying shit on Amazon, jacking off, watching Netflix. Like, you mean evil, bro. Just doing me. Back out of here, man. It's like, it takes a lot of personal responsibility. You know, the hardest thing you can do in life is listen to that inner voice in your head to become the most optimal version of yourself you can be. It takes a lot of work and dedication, you know, and you got to really shirk the haters left and right. And sometimes you're going to be the biggest hater of yourself at all. And you just got to really get to it, man, and hustle. That's why I said it again. You know, it's like the only thing you're ever going to own in your life is the time it's comprised of. So try and leave a legacy, make it something worthwhile.
Exactly. Man.
Oh, we got Darkness wants to know what we think of gold and precious metal versus crypto, which is better. Personally, Darkness, I hedge, man. I hedge myself. I got gold, I got silver, I got a lot of crypto. I like crypto because it's easier for me to move than gold, and it's easier for me to hustle than gold. I just keep stacking Bitcoins, man. You know, that's why I trade. I can't trade gold the way I can trade crypto. That's the reason I love crypto.
Yeah, and Darkness, yeah, thank you for that super chat, man. Much appreciated. But yeah, you know, I do have silver. I don't have any gold, you know, except for the gold that my wife wears, and she just kind of showed up. So you want to come and say hi to everybody? Grab a drink. Come and chill with us.
No. I gotta go grab another beer real quick. I'll be right back.
Not a problem. You sure? Maybe one day we'll get my wife on, and you guys can ask her some questions. As long as everybody behaves. But I think she'll agree to do this one of these days. But no, so, you know, in the sense of precious metals, yeah, I mean, it doesn't help. It doesn't hurt, you know, to have a little bit of everything and to be a little diversified. You know, because really, if shit hits the fan, if total apocalypse happens, you know, nobody's going to want US dollar. US dollar will be shit.
They're going to want they're not even want gold and silver either, man. The most precious metal is going to be copper and lead, man.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, bullets. That's true. Not a problem. But yeah, so I mean, you know, to have a little bit of copper, not copper, I'm sorry, a little bit of precious metal, you know, but yeah, bullets. That's what I would hoard. And I do have a lot of it too. I have a lot of bullets. I like to go to the range occasionally, let off some steam. So, but yeah, Darkness, thank you so much. And I know we missed a couple of the questions that were on there, so I'm going to try to scroll up a little bit. But let me just answer a question from my wife real quick. So, you gonna grab a drink? Did you grab me some cranberry juice?
I did.
You did. Why don't we make a Grey Goose cranberry?
Yeah, you're too busy watching.
I'm drinking a beer.
You can.
Alrighty.
But yeah, my wife was nice enough to grab me some cranberry for Grey Goose cranberry juice.
Oh, nice.
So maybe
It
some
is
7
my
Up.
Sunday. I got what time is it actually? 7:03. All right, cool. I got 3 more beers.
Exactly. There you go, man. There you go.
I gotta measure my ABV just mentally. You know, get some beers, get some Whataburger. I'll be good because I got to work at 5 a.m.
Ooh, that's not
And
good.
you can't have any blood trace alcohol.
Yeah, that's not good. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you do, you know, important things. The remote.
I guess, man. I thought it was. Mostly, it's just that's crazy, man. It's crazy. The worst thing is like you know, I'm on an ambulance. I'm working triage at a hospital, and working triage. You know, you're the guy that's the asshole. Like when everyone shows up to the emergency room, I'm the guy that gets to be like, "What's wrong with you?" All right, go sit down.
Right.
And they're like, well, when will I? Oh my God, when am I gonna be? Go away.
It's not an emergency, you know.
Yeah.
There's other people.
You know, this is the emergency room. You're okay, right? You can wait.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, you know, and that's the reason why I rarely go to the hospital unless it's like life and death. I mean, I think there was one time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there was one time.
Hi, you found your elf.
I did find the Mad Elf. Yes. Yes. I thought my wife drank my Mad Elf. I had 3 of them. And I was like, I know you drank it. I was like, where is it? And I was like, you probably dumped it after one sip because it's not a beer that she would like. Oh, but
that's right, man. I forgot Crypto Carter, man. He's got the bullets unlocked, man. He's ready.
He's ready. Nice.
He's gonna be. You got to make a bullet token for the coming apocalypse.
Yeah, right. Exactly. And I'm sure, dude, I'm surprised there isn't a cryptocurrency or a token or a coin out there, the bullet token yet. You know, it's a matter of time. It's a matter of time. You know, back in the day when we all say, you know, there's an app for that, there's going to be a coin for that, you know, for whatever it might be.
Yeah, I agree completely. Man.
But yeah, let me see. I know a lot of people were asking some good questions, and I'm just trying to scroll and find some of these good questions. 4K to leave the U.S. Sunspawn, really? So $4,000 to renounce my U.S. citizenship. I gotta look into that.
It's not
exactly.
4K.
Right, exactly.
You'll get audited for every little thing, man.
Every little thing, yeah, right, exactly. Exactly.
When you have as much BTC as some people do tend to have, you start to look at options. You know, you heard them, you bought for them, you traded for them, you want them.
It's like, can I? You know, I actually at one point I thought about moving to Puerto Rico, because in Puerto Rico there was really no state tax, no federal tax. You didn't have to pay any taxes at all. And I was like, man, I'm like, that'd be great. I'm like, you know, because at one point I was really paying, you know, almost 35% in taxes. I was, you know, 35% tax bracket. And I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, majority of my, you know, winnings in this stock market is going to taxes. I'm like, this is crazy. And I kind of talked to my wife about, you know, moving to Puerto Rico. But yeah, it didn't happen, of course.
Yeah, man, I wish. And that's the other thing is like, you know, right now Puerto Rico's kind of going through some stuff with the United States, and
yeah,
I don't think it'll be I don't think it'll be left alone for too much longer. Right, I think a lot of people are going to move to Puerto Rico, and then within maybe a decade or 15 years, they'll all be paying taxes too.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, Puerto Rico too. I'll briefly mention something. I have a friend who works for the FBI, and she was visiting me the other, you know, probably 2 weeks ago. I think she was up here visiting, and she was just telling me, you know, after the hurricane, like just how crazy it is down there. And she kind of compared it to Houston. She's like, you know, in Houston, when I went down there, she was like, you know, it was more of a, you know, a search and rescue type of operation in Houston. She's like, you know, in Puerto Rico, she was like, it's pure anarchy. She was like, there are gangs that are taking over gas stations. You know, there are people that are just having their generators stolen, and they actually rely on those generators for their oxygen tanks. She's like, it's complete anarchy, you know, and she's like, you know, she's like, I had a chance to go, and she's like, and I had to turn it down. She's like, you know, I would rather be down there to help people, not to, you know, basically trying to enforce law and order. And that's basically what, you know, people had to do, like FBI agents, DEA, and things like that. You know, federal officials, when they went down there, she was like, you know, basically they were just, you know, making sure that law and order, you know, was what it needed to be. And I was like, man, that's crazy. You know, you would think that, you know, people would want to go down there to help them out, you know, and not have to deal with, you know, the craziness, the anarchiness, you know, because people need help, you know, and I thought that was just the craziest thing that I heard from her. But yeah, she's like, you know, Houston was just completely different. She was like, you know, I enjoyed Houston. She's like, I actually helped people, you know, it was search and rescue. But she was like, yeah, she was like, you know, Puerto Rico is just a whole completely different story.
Yeah, Puerto Rico outside of a major city is a lot different than what people would think Puerto Rico is.
Yeah, because
it gets pretty wild, man.
Yeah, a lot of people see that the resort, you know, that's all that they know of Puerto Rico, or really any island. You know, they see the resort, and that's all that they know. Once they venture outside the resort, which, you know, I don't really recommend it. But yeah, it's a completely different story. It's a completely different story, and it's a lot of poverty. And yeah, there is no law and order that happens outside of these resorts, where a lot of people kind of take for granted, you know, their safety and security. But a lot of them end up venturing out of the resort, you know, expecting it to be exactly like the resort, and find themselves into a lot of trouble. I was actually talking to Daniel from C20 about that, because they're from South Africa. And I was like, oh man, I was like, you know, I would love to visit South Africa and actually, you know, get to actually see how people live. And he was like, no, he's like, you don't want to do that. And I was like, well, what do you mean? No. He was like, it's not good. And I was like,
it's hard, dude.
Right. Exactly. And I was like, well, I was like, you might have a hard time doing it. I was like, I think, you know, me being from Africa and born and raised in Africa, I was like, you know, I would probably blend right in. You know, I wouldn't have a hard time, you know, fitting in outside of the resorts. And then he kind of looked at me and he was like, yeah, he's like, I think you might be right. He's like, yeah, he's like, you have a hall pass. He's like, I don't have that hall pass, being white from South Africa.
Yeah, that's true, man.
But yeah, let's kind of get back to crypto. Let's see if anybody has any questions about crypto. I know there were a couple questions about C20, and hopefully we're able to answer them. But if you're able to get in, I would highly recommend it. But with any investment, only put in money that you are willing to lose, or that you could afford to lose. If you need that money to sustain your living, I don't recommend it whatsoever. It doesn't really matter what investment it is. But if you're able to get into C20, I highly recommend it. It's an investment that I would definitely be getting into if it wasn't for us being a U.S. Citizen, U.S. resident. Let's see what Darkness is saying.
Oh, we're talking bullets.
Okay. But yeah, pure apocalypse. I'm a big fan of Walking Dead. Yeah, I mean, USD, cash, fiat, it doesn't mean anything. I would rather wipe my ass with it, and that's really all that it's good for.
That'd be a great wipe too, if you think about it.
But speaking of that, I mean, in a lot of countries, their currency is devalued so much that really that's the best thing that it's used for. For them to use, for them to go out into the store and buy toilet paper, that would be expensive. So they use their fiat currency, and do what they have to do with it, unfortunately. Instead of using their currency to actually buy toilet paper, that's gonna cost more than what it would to purchase food and to purchase things that you actually needed to survive.
Yeah, I think it was Andreas Antonopoulos. He was talking about I think it was in Kenya when kind of one of the first uses of some sort of crypto type currency would be the M-Pesa, which was when they were started to trade phone minutes, cell phone minutes as money. Mm-hmm. I want like this much money for my meat. And I don't have that money. I need your cell phone minutes. And the guy's like, okay. Now the M-Pesa has become more widely used than the actual currency. And there was a news organization down there at one point. They were filming, and this dude had a wheelbarrow full of money. And they were like, he was sitting there like guarding it, and he was getting ready to walk away. But he kept kind of looking at it, and they were like, "Are you worried that people are going to steal your money? Like, it's a wheelbarrow full of money." And he's like, "No, I'm worried they're going to steal the wheelbarrow. I need it for work."
The wheelbarrow's worth more.
Yeah, man.
I agree.
You can actually do something. You can actually do something in the paper,
Yeah, I was back home in my country in 2013, and at that time, you can go into the national bank and exchange, U.S. dollars. So one U.S. dollar at that time was about 1,400 nakfa at the bank. On the black market, which it was legal to exchange it on the black market, it was 5,200 nakfa. So, I mean, I was exchanging, $200, 200 US dollars, and really, you couldn't really exchange smaller denominations. They didn't want ones, fives, tens, 20s, it had to be 50s or hundreds. And the newer hundreds, because that was when the new $100 bill really came out, you actually got more for it. So I had an older bill, $100 bill from like I think it was like 1991. And they thought it was fake money. They really thought it was fake money until, I kind of, my uncle was like, no, he's here visiting. This is real money. But yeah, I had a stack. I had 10,400 nakfa. And I mean, and $100 bills, basically, and $100 nakfas. And I mean, and this was a wad of money. And I was like, I need like a fanny pack to carry this. I'm like, there's no way I can put this in my pocket. So I would, I mean, it was crazy. I mean, like the wad of money. And I'm like, I can't put this in my pocket and walk around town. Like they're going to know exactly what I have in my pocket.
Well, how much was the money?
It was basically 10,400 nakfa.
How much was it in USD?
Oh, $200. It was nothing. It was nothing. And actually,
how much, but like with inflation stuff, how much are purchases? Like, how much is a like a number 4 with a large Coke, right? In nakfa, like, right?
Actually,
like how much?
You're breaking up on me, but I'll give you an example. So we went to this really fancy Italian restaurant because it was an Italian colony. So this Italian restaurant was like built in 1899, really fancy. Not a lot of people can afford to eat there. So, the average person probably makes about 10 US dollars on a monthly basis. 10 US dollars is a lot of money there. So, we went to the restaurant and it was 6 of us. We probably spent a total of $53. And I mean, we had a feast. I mean, it was like so I'm sure you guys saw the movie Euro Trip. when they're actually in the one country, and for like a nickel, you know, the guy was able to buy a hotel room. It was that bad, you know. So for $53, you know, $63, we were able to eat a feast and drink alcohol and everything else. So let's just say hypothetically a bottle of wine. So like we got a bottle of wine that was about 8,000. No, I'm sorry, it was 3,000 nakfa. So 3,000 nakfa at that time was about, I'm trying to do the math off the top of my head, $50, something to that extent, you know, $60. And I mean, it was top of the line wine. Nobody in their right mind would go to a bar and order a whole bottle of wine. Like, you know, when we asked her for a wine, she poured it and took the bottle, and we're like, no, we want the whole thing. And she was shocked. She was like, you want the whole bottle? And she was like, it's going to cost you 3,000 nakfa. And we're like, okay, that's perfectly fine. Like, we'll take it. And she was just shocked. Like, she was like, nobody in their right mind comes in here and orders a whole bottle of wine. You know, like she expected we just wanted a glass and that was it. So, I mean, and of course, right now, I mean, you know, being 2017, they've completely revamped the currency and you know, and the exchange rate and things like that. So it's not the way it was back then. But I mean, you know, you're walking down the street, you know, I mean, I bought this crazy painting and the guy was like, you know, he wanted 1,000 nakfa. I was like, oh, that's nothing. It's $20 to me, you know, but this painting was awesome. And I was like, and 1,000 nakfa to them was a lot of money. You know, like the average person, like I said, makes $10 US on a monthly basis. And I mean, we're out there spending $10 like it was nothing, left and right. You know, not really thinking about exactly, you know, the conversion and how people actually live on a day-to-day basis, you know, because we were just thinking, like when somebody said 1,000 nakfa, we were like, oh, that's $20. That's nothing. You know, that's what we're used to in the US. Like we take that for granted. Like, oh, it's $20. But it's like, man, I'm like, it takes them 2 months to actually make that. So like people in the military, you know, they're getting, you know, if they're lucky, you know, about $11 on a monthly basis. Now they're able to live off of it, which is nice. But to us, it's nothing, you know, like in the US, it's like, man, I go to McDonald's and I spend that easily. But yeah, it's
awesome. Like when I spent a lot of Bitcoin down to Venezuela for helping out. Man, it feels good to do. On those things that I do, we don't see any returns. We just have friends and family in Venezuela, like literally, you know, being messed with right now. And that's when things get kind of sketch. Right. All right. I don't know what that's going to fund. There's currently a lot of stuff going on in Venezuela. For the most part, I know it's going towards like, you know, food and just basic survival, but I don't know, man. It's crazy. And growing up, being able to go to Mexico all the time because I have a large family from Laredo, right? You jump across the bridge and go to Mexico. Nuevo Laredo is really poor. Peso, it's $1. Always been pretty strong. You know, It's not as much as like the nakfa, but just seeing like the difference in like what $1 gets you versus you know, just going across a river as a child and seeing that the money that I took for granted my whole life versus, you know, where I am now, just physically because of an imaginary line, it makes a huge world of difference. And I think cryptocurrency it's an awesome way of helping others out.
It's a way out of poverty.
Yeah, you know, it really is. We're seeing a huge exchange of wealth right now. But also, if you think that you know, the people at the top haven't bought in and didn't buy in a long time ago, you know, there's still the cats with the you know, 10,000 BTC wallets, 20,000 BTC wallets.
Yeah,
those exist. You can see them on the chain. They're there, man.
They're there. Yep, they're there. You know, and I attempted to follow, you know, some of these wallets. And I wish, you know, there was a programmer out there that, you know, would create a website that would just, you know, instantly track these and see exactly, you know, who's moving these to an exchange. You know, at what point are they going to start dumping? Because they will sell.
God, that's a great idea, dude.
At a certain point. But yeah, if there's somebody out there that could create, you know, a website to be able to track.
WhaleWatch.io. I'm logging it in right now. I'm paying for the domain, dude.
What is it?
I'm gonna hire a programmer.
I think actually my buddy Rec Real took whalewatchers.com. I think he already registered that. Let me see if it's still active. It should be active. Whalewatchers.com. Or it might have been .org. I forget what it is. No, Whale Watchers is not. The premium domain name is available for purchase. So whalewatchers.com is available for purchase. But yeah, I mean, if you're able to track these wallets, because I mean, really, I mean, we can put in their address and be able to see exactly what it is that they have, and be able to see exactly, okay, you know what, they're moving, 10 BTCs or 100 BTCs from this address to this address. And then it's moving from this address to this address. If there was a system to instantly track it and send updates instantly right away to indicate, oh, wow, you know what? They just moved, 200 BTCs to Coinbase. Now we know they're looking to dump it. They're not looking to buy, they're looking to dump it. And possibly more than likely that might crash the price, buy back and, buy and cheat. But yeah, if anybody can, create it, go for it. And Oni, if you can, get that domain, whalewatchers.com, do it.
I gotta do the .io, man. Keep it crypto.
There you go. .io is expensive though. .io is expensive.
Yeah, they are very expensive.
It's like $100 a year. So let's see.
That's not bad, man.
Yeah, but it adds up, dude. It adds up. I'm not balling like you, man.
I'm not balling.
Having beer delivered door to door.
Isn't that cool, man?
Dude,
that's so
awesome.
illegal too.
Only in the city. It's only in the city. I couldn't have that done where I'm at. No way.
I'm in the suburbs, man.
Are you really? Okay.
I'm in Dallas. Yeah. It's pretty white picket up here, dude. And just a migraine to exist in.
Nice.
Once you close your door behind you, there's no action, right? And for you to get like out anywhere where you can just like be and exist, right? You gotta drive quite a ways. Dallas is or not even Dallas. It's a metroplex. It's DFW. It's Dallas Fort Worth.
Gotcha.
Everything's 20 miles away from everything, and you got to have a car to make it.
Yeah, it's like I've heard a buddy of mine say, he's like, to really leave Dallas, he was like, you need to spend a day driving. And I was like, really? He's like, dude, it's so big. He's like, I would spend like a half a day just trying to get out of Texas, not Dallas. I'm sorry, Texas in general. He was like,
oh yeah, man. Even more like for me, like being in Dallas, just to make it to Laredo is I think like 9 hours in the car.
9 hours. Yeah, that's crazy. That is crazy. It's
but
huge.
if I go north, it's 90 minutes to Oklahoma.
Right.
But if you're deadpan center in the middle of Texas, were you losing me? Hold on.
I'm not losing you. I hear you.
All right, cool. My Wi-Fi just like yelled at me. It was like cautioning me. Yeah, if you're dead center, like it'll be like 7, not even more than that. Probably like 10 hours to get out. But no one wants to leave Texas, man. This place is great.
Well, they can. It takes 10 hours. Even if they wanted to, it's like, man, I got to drive 10 hours just to leave Texas. I can't. Like if they wanted to leave Texas for a day, just to kind of escape from Texas, like 10-hour driving, dude, that's hell. That's a lot.
I'm looking at the chat. It says, my best bet at scoliosis. And the next one down says, Henri has big time BTC bucks. I got scoliosis too, man. I got scoliosis and I got BTC bucks.
Yeah, it's the early investors of BTC, that are being rewarded. I was actually looking at my transaction history on Coinbase. And I even remember, when I sold, the BTC that I bought in 2014, I sold it. It was like January 7th, January 8th. And I sold it at $1,000. And I was so happy about it. And I remember my wife, I think she's still on the couch. And she was like, why'd you sell it? Like, it's going to go higher. It's going to go higher. And I was like, well, it's going to dip. I'm like, this is the highest it's been in a very long time. And it did dip. And I never bought back in. And what do we know? It just keeps going up and going up and going up. And then even, when we had that flash crash, well, I shouldn't say flash crash, when the ETF was declined, it dropped to 900 or 980s, $900, something to that extent.
Back, dude. When was that? Was that 2016 or was that 15?
No, dude, that was this year. Because I bought 3 BTCs. Yes, yeah, the ETF. Dude, that's the thing about cryptocurrency. Like, it seems like years. It seems years and years and years. I'll tell you exactly how long ago that was. Let me get the GDAX real quick.
Yeah, because there was $300. Because that was what, June?
That was, let's see, because it'll tell me it won't tell me the exact date, but it'll say how many months ago.
May or June? May. It was May. May 16th.
So let's see, because I bought 3. I bought 3.039. That was 8 months ago. 8 months ago from today, basically. I mean, it
I
seemed
hope
like, you
we
know,
correct. I hope we correct hard.
right. But yeah, I put in that limit order to buy at 1,000, and I think it dipped to like 950, 925. And I was like, shit, I made a mistake. Like, why did I even, have that limit order? And I didn't know I had that limit order, and it executed. And I was like, all right, well, I got 3 Bitcoins, 3.039. And it went up to 1,300. And I was trying to sell at, at $300, per pop, $900 profit right there. And I couldn't get out. So I got out at $1,100. Like, I'm looking at my order right now and I'm like, man, I bought BTC at 1,000. And then like an hour later, not even an hour later, a couple minutes later, I sold it for $1,100. I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah, man, I made some bad calls today.
Well, dude, I made some bad calls 8 months ago. 8 months ago. Now it goes crazy. Up to $7,900 basically.
I don't know if any of y'all use Exodus Wallet, but there was a new patch that was just released, and even though it's not all my BTC, it's only a very small amount of it because it's a warm wallet, and I cold store pretty much everything.
Mm-hmm.
There was a glitch, and if you go and refresh your blockchain, right, there's like a way you can go to the BTC logo above your BTC wallet and click on it. If you have the old one, so there was like it's the patch is like let me just bring it up here real quick. I have it in my saved files for. But anyway, it was counting your crypto or your Bitcoin and not actually like counting up the transactions. So all right, so yeah, right now we're on 1.37.2, and on version 1.37.1, there was a glitch. To when you refreshed and rescanned the blockchain, the way that it works is like your address kind of works like a drawer, and it's kind of like counting money in a drawer. So it's kind of counting the ledgers, but it wasn't accounting for your trades and your exchanges and your sales. So what it was accounting for was all of the Bitcoin you've ever had in that one address. But it didn't actually exist on the blockchain. It was just a misrepresentation in their coding and how it said what you had in your wallet. So it would say, your wallet holds this much BTC, even though in reality you probably hold like 0.8, right?
Right.
So then, like, in order for you to move any BTC and Exodus, you had to download the patch, then rescan the blockchain, and then you're good again. You can move it around again. But it was really funny because I was like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. That's going to be a fun experiment. And I rescanned the blockchain, and I only had 1.8 BTC in my Exodus wallet. And I like rescanned it, and it was like 23 Bitcoin. Or no, it was like 38 Bitcoin, and I was like, I was like, where did it all go? And that is all stuff that I had like put into alts and like come back and made profit on. But like then I started to like do a little bit of digging and looking at like exchange fees and everything else, and all in all, just off of trading, like there was definitely a loss of probably like 14 BTC. Wow. But that's just like accounting for like like the amount of like how much it's grown and all that stuff. Right. But yeah, the number was huge. The number of my Exodus wallet was huge. It went from like like $8,000 to no more than that. It went from like 23 grand. Yeah, 23 grand to several $100,000. And I was like, oh shit.
Wow. Damn. And that's the thing though. I mean, like,
if I just held it.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Nobody knew, what BTC was going to do. I mean, if somebody said to me, hey, you know what, hold on to this because this is going to be worth, $7,980, whatever it got up to, yesterday.
I was always a firm believer it would be this high, but I don't think we'd be where we are right now for
right now. Right.
Within 3 years at least.
Right. Exactly. Yes. Within, let's just say January, because really January it started heading up to, $1,000, and really January 7th, I think, is when I was like, all right, you know what? I hit $1,000. I'm going to sell it because I bought it at $500 in 2014. But, if we knew that, within 11 months, because really November 10th, that it would have been hitting $7,900, I wouldn't have sold. I'm like, that's a very short period of time.
That's so bullish.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's basically, if you look at, let's just say a 2-week chart or maybe even a 3-week candlestick chart. I mean, it's a parabolic move. You're not going to see these crazy dips that we were seeing from 5,000 down to, 3,000 and so forth. There's just no possible way. But yeah, if any of us knew, we'd be stacking and just holding and be like, you know what, I'm not going to sell. I think the people that were rewarded, I mean, I haven't really talked to him in a long time, but oh man, what was his name? Snap, from our chat room. He hasn't been on in a long time, but yeah, he was a holder. Logan's Run.
Oh yeah, Logan, man. Yeah, me and Logan are both holders.
Yeah.
Like I don't trade much. I've only started trading again. It's like some of y'all have heard my story, man. I got had really hard by Mt. Gox. Really hard. Really hard.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how you got started. I don't want to keep this live stream going forever. Maybe that's something we should have covered earlier on. We had a good amount of people, but yeah, like tell me your story, dude. Like, how did you get started?
So I got started back. Let's see. I left high school in 2008. 2010. I heard about Bitcoin. I had some friends that were mining Bitcoin. I was always kind of like what you would call like a script kiddie, right? Like thinking you're like hot shit on a computer, even though you're really not. Got interested in it, started following it, and then I didn't really see any applications for it, and then the Silk Road came out. So this is when I was 17 to 19 years old. And I thought I was a hard kid, right? So I was always like, it was a way for me to make money as a teenager in Austin, was selling weed, which is who I was. It's not who I am anymore, right? I work with cops and firefighters and all that stuff. So
right.
Like it's funny how stuff changes, but yeah, I started buying stuff on the Silk Road when I heard about it, and I know everything I have and everything my future family members will have to Ross Ulbricht, and I want to do whatever I can to help free that cat, man, because he didn't really do, it's a nifty story. We're talking about me right now anyway. We have hashtag free Ross, man.
Yeah, I agree with you. He went to Penn State University for his PhD, man.
Yes, he did. Smart kid, man. God.
Yeah, definitely smart.
So I had to transact in BTCs. So I got these cards, and you're able to it's like a gift card essentially. And then with that, you're able to get BTC. You got to get a Bitcoin wallet. And I was like, this is crazy, man. And I started getting into the code.
Nice.
I figured it all out, and then I just nerded out, man. Just nerded out hard. I started, watching the price grow of Bitcoins, and that's when I was like, man, do I really want to buy like liquid codeine and like weed with like and I really started looking at applications and what it can do, like socially for changing the world. I remember buying like my last I think I was 22. And I was like 22 or 23, and I was like, yeah, man, I'm done, dude. Like, I'm making so much more money doing nothing than I am breaking the law. And at that point, I heard about Magic the Gathering online, which is Mt. Gox is how it started.
Yeah. Yep.
And there was an exchange, and I could, move stuff around, and that was a lot of fun. I did some mining as well around that same time. So I was taking the money that I earned doing GPU mining. I had a really nice setup in my room. I still actually have, I had it like kind of displayed on my wall for cooling. And I still have like dirt marks for like where they were like mounted on my wall, all these graphics cards. See the dip. Let's see a big one. I had it all pulled up and organized because we were going to talk about it, but then I lost it.
So I mean, like at what point, like you probably had a good amount of Bitcoins because it was dirt cheap, I'm assuming.
Yeah. So the number changes because Bitcoin continues to go up in price.
Right.
And today, it was today that the cat got his money for the bankruptcy of Mt. Gox.
Wow.
And it's several. I don't know if one of you guys in chat wants to look it up. Just type in Mt. Gox bankruptcy and see how much he got paid. But it's like it's crazy. It's a crazy feeling to this dude that took everything you had to get paid money for having done it. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good at all. So yeah, more than 2/3 of my BTC was on Mt. Gox.
Wow.
And I bought, a lot of it I had pre-parity with the US dollar.
Right.
From when I was nerding out before Silk Road. And then a lot of it was, the majority of it was under $10. And I was throwing, several thousands of dollars into it at a time for paying for illicit substances. So I think the last time I checked, like 3 weeks ago, the number was in the 200s of millions of dollars.
Yeah, I believe
That I could have had. But you know what? I don't believe in like looking at the past, man. River mirrors, they don't need to be around.
Yeah, you can't.
There are some people that are trying to get their BTC back, but no, man, it got washed. Those coins got pushed through the system. They're gone. They're gone.
They're done. They're done. Yeah. I mean, what was it? $100 investment, back in 2009 is worth, how many millions of dollars now? I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. So, and those people, they had it at Mt. Gox. And I'll be honest with you, I had an account at Mt. Gox. But for some apparent reason, I didn't fund it because it was just a pain in the ass to fund.
It was a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it was definitely a pain in the ass. And I was just like, oh, there's this Coinbase. This is great. I can fund it easily. And I funded, Coinbase basically.
I had funded both, man. And then I got rid of Coinbase. And I reapplied, just in late 2015.
Yeah. Actually,
but
one of the
it was crazy because I got in 2014, when all this shit was going down on the second half of the Gox drama, I was cooking.
Okay.
I used to be a chef before I was a paramedic.
Okay.
Or I don't know, it's a weird job I have right now. I want to call myself a paramedic. I'm not licensed paramedic. I got EMT though. But anyway, I was riding my bicycle back from work. I was like, a little city hipster fixie, rocking a fixed geared bicycle. Had my headphones in. I was listening to explosions in the sky. I was smoking weed and I was drinking my water on my Camelback. I was pissed off because I used to make $20 an hour as a head, and now I was making $9 an hour as a line cook because my boy told me he could get me my full rate, and he couldn't.
Right.
So I said to myself, I said, man, I wish I could sit at home and do nothing all day but smoke weed and watch cartoons like I used to. No sooner than that thought left my brain was I hit by an F-250 and left for dead in the street.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, man. I broke both my arms, which were my tools for cooking, which was my passion.
Right.
I spent a little under a month in the hospital, had 10 surgeries, reconstructing my arms. And then I spent a year in recovery. And I spent all of 2014 and the second half of 2015 not knowing what was happening with Bitcoin. And then, pretty much April, May, April. Yeah, it was a little. So April 2015, I opened up my wallet, and I was like, all right, it's a little different. I think it was and then it just took off, man. It just took off, and I never looked back. I used Bitwage.
Yeah.
And to siphon a lot of my paycheck. It was weird. Sometimes paychecks wouldn't go through for a while, and that's when I was like, it's not a great idea to give a third party your paycheck.
Right. No, definitely not.
And I lived off of Bitcoin and Litecoin for a long time. I definitely spent more and lost more and given away more than I've ever held, but I do have a good size of Bitcoin and of Litecoin.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. I really believe that this stuff is going to change it all up. But a lot of people will sit there and pontificate that blockchain is going to change the world and that it's going to do all these great, amazing things. And to me, it's up to the person that's going to use the tool, right? Yeah. This is just another tool in our hand.
Yep.
It's up to humanity to make the right moves. And right now, people are shied away from hard work.
Yeah.
And from ethics. They want to take the easy route. So, blockchain just as easily could mess a lot of stuff up and kind of, control the narrative if we let it for where we need to be, where we need to go. So everybody needs to hustle. Right now, there's a great opportunity for everybody to just, make a ton of cash, which is awesome.
Yep.
And also to look at these new projects and really get stuff done and build your own. If there's not I'm forgetting the word, man. Total mind fart. If there's not a format or a forum for you to get done what you want, then go build it. Get it done. Put it in. I know a lot of people got kids and jobs and all this stuff, but it's not easy. Being great is not easy. I'm not calling myself great. I'm not. I'm far from where I want to be. Not as financially, but just personally. We all have that inner voice in our head that tells us that we can do better. So do better. Be better. You owe it to nobody but yourself. And then secondly, you owe it to the world.
And life is short. Life is short.
Dude, it is tripping me out. You know, it's the comparative year theory, right? With each
Yeah.
year you have, you know, let's say I'm 28, right? So when I'm 29, I have 28 more years to stack my 1 year against.
Yeah.
So it just starts fucking flying by, man, and it's
It
over
does,
before
dude.
you know it, man.
You know, it's funny that you say that. It flies by quick. I mean, I'm a lot older than you are, you know, but I remember 28, dude. I remember 28 like it was yesterday. And I'm like looking at it now, I'm like, man, like how did I get to 40? Like this is crazy. Like it was just yesterday I was 28.
Yeah, I
You
remember
know, so
17 the same way, man.
yeah, so
I can't
time
believe I'm
flies.
28.
Time flies. And you know, like you said earlier, you know, time is really the most valuable thing you have.
Yeah,
You know, you really can't put
that's it, man. That's what I'm all about.
dollar value on it. So you know, like I mean, if you were to ask a dying man, you know, would he want $1 billion or would he want time? He's not going to take the money. He wants time. You
Yeah,
know, time is
and
what he's
guess
going to
what? You
want.
know, even though you're living, you're also dying.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You might be alive, but you might not necessarily be living. You know, that's the biggest shame of it all. And what you just said there was like you can't put a dollar value on time, but guess
Yeah.
what? We all have.
Yeah.
We all have. That is what you're doing when you're working, right?
Yeah.
To get the things that you want and things that you need. That's
Yeah.
just those are just the things that's like, you know, Maslow's hierarchy right there. You know, those are the things that you need to survive, right?
Yeah.
But then think of all the stuff that you don't need and stuff that you let stress you out. You know, and just like there's so much stuff that's not worth it. Life is already over for all of us, right?
It is, and it's funny that we mentioned that because you know, working for corporate America, I mean, at some point you really have to come into the realization that you know it's a way for them to really keep you away from your dream. It's a way from them to say, you know what, we're going to pay you a salary. You know what, when you're 65, we'll pay you a pension, we'll pay you a 401k. You know, we're going to have you forget about your dream. You know, because really we'll have you forget about time. Time is of no essence to you because we're going to have you be enslaved and part of this system. And we're going to keep you in that system until it's too late for you to do anything. At 65, you know, at 67, you know, I'm not going to be able to do the things that I want to do now. There's no way. And, you know, my dad worked until he was 72 years old, you know, because he wanted to basically provide, you know, for all of us. And he wanted my mom to have free health coverage and all this stuff. You know, really, I mean, he had mesothelioma cancer. And within 6 months, he was done. I mean, it took his life away. It's like, so he was like a month away from hitting 72 and retiring. He got sick. 6 months later, he was done. And I'm just like, you know, he never really had a chance to enjoy life whatsoever because he was just like, I got to work. You know, I got to build up that 401k. I got to build up that, you know, Medicare for, you know, for you know, for us and for, you know, his wife and for, well, my mom to be able to have, you know, coverage, you know, when he retires. And he's like, I'm going to retire at 72. And we're like, dude, 72, that's old. Like, you know, you should be retiring now. Like you should have retired at 62 and enjoy the time that you have. But yeah, he never got to enjoy it, you know, and I think a lot of people are enslaved to the system currently right now, of, you know, what we're taught to believe that, you know what, we need to work 9 to 5. We need to forget about our dreams and we need to enslave ourselves until we're 65, 67, 68. And so, you know, a lot of people are thinking, oh, you know what, I can't stop working at 65 because my Social Security benefits are going to be very low. So I need to work until, this year. Oh, I can't work until 66 because my Social Security benefits are going to be very low. So I need to work to 67 until they get up to 72, you know, where they max out. And then all of a sudden, you know, they're done.
Yeah, it's true, man.
You know,
And like one big thing, you know, talking about like the BTC we could have held versus like you know, what we have still and what we've moved around. And then like with just general losses of the day for me. There's a quote by Steve Burns that I really like, and it's and there's two types of traders. There's those who are there's those who are humble and those who have yet to be humbled.
right.
Right. So don't let stress in trading. I know it's stressful, but like I have a whale buddy of mine, and it's funny because he's a whale and he says stuff like this, but it's true. Because life is short.
Right.
If you're trading with stress, you're trading wrong.
Oh, dude,
and I was like,
yeah.
man, you're crazy, dude. You're crazy. It's impossible to do without. Right. But after the day, I'm like, man, set your stop losses, set your pre-orders, like trade across multiple exchanges, right? And just like get it in, and if it fills, it fills. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yep.
And
Exactly.
that's why you keep that one rule, right? If you can afford to trade, trade
Yeah.
to make more, but don't put any more in than you can afford to lose.
No, and I think a lot of people overtrade, and that's what, when I started trading the stock market, I would be like, oh, I just made $1,000. You know what? I can keep doing this throughout the whole day and I can make more. And I'm like, oh man, I just gave up $1,500. Yeah, I made 1,000 within like 2 hours. But now, and I thought I could make another 1,000, within another hour and a half. But I was like, I just gave up $1,500. So I ended up being $500 in the hole. And I was like, why did I do that? Like, I should have just quit while I was ahead, trade from 9:30 to 5, or I'm sorry, 9:30 to 12 and be done. But I was like, I got too greedy. And I was like, oh, well, I did this, for an hour. I can replicate that for another hour. So that's another $2,000. And then I can do it for another hour. That's another 1,000. That's $3,000. But yeah, you know what? There's sometimes you just got to be like, you know what? I'm happy with my profits. I made $300. I made $500. I'm going to enjoy the day. It's a nice sunny day.
Like,
right.
When a BTC is worth so much and you're trading on the point of a Satoshi, right? It's nuts, man.
I'll be honest with you, man. It's not even worth to trade Bitcoin, and that's why I'm looking at let me go back to GDAX. Last time I bought Bitcoin was 7 months ago. At least that's what it's telling me. So it's probably a little over 7 months ago. That's the last time that I bought Bitcoin, and that wasn't even to trade it. That was to basically send. What did I send to somebody? Let's see, 1 point something. Yeah, it was to send it to somebody else. Like, I didn't even buy it to trade it. Prior to that, it was really when I bought, 8 months ago, 3,000. Oh, I'm sorry. I bought, 3.039 at $1,000 when that ETF crash happened. That was the last time I really traded it. I don't trade BTC. You can't trade BTC.
Yeah, I can't, man. But still, when I use
you gotta hold it. You gotta hold it.
Bittrex, though,
Yeah.
Like they only have 7 listings on USDT.
Yeah.
And everything else is traded in BTC. So I'm getting ready just now to buy a bunch of alt bags that I like.
Yep.
And then I'm gonna walk away.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. As long as
everything.
There you go. As long as you're buying those solid alts, and I've always talked about it on the live stream. Stick to the top 20, stick to the top 10. Those are solid. Those are the ones that you don't need to trade on an hour by hour, day by day basis. Those are ones that you can be like, you know what? I'm going to hold this for a week and see how it does. And you can afford to hold it for a week because it's a solid alt. It's not something that's going to crash 50, 60% and be down because it happened to be pumped up, 50, 60%. But yeah, as long as you stick to those dominating alts in the top 10, top 20, yeah, you don't need to trade on a daily basis. You can just kind of sit back and be like, you know what? I bought this at a nice bare bottom price. I'm happy with it. And I'm going to watch this with some popcorn and beer.
Exactly.
And chill out,
That's the thing is the uber wealthy, they don't there's a diagram for success in America, right? The poor man has to go from work to being paid to paying off a bunch of stuff to a little bit of savings. And then you can stack that savings to do something else with, to get an asset. Middle class America has fewer things to do before they can make those savings, take an asset. And then people that are born wealthy, they just are born with assets and then make more assets. So that's really the way it should be. Even though we're not all super wealthy, we have a chance here to have our assets make more assets. So no matter how little you have of it, just store a bunch of it, wait, get done.
I agree.
It shouldn't be hard. Everything should be done with a smile.
I agree.
If it's not, it's not. If it's not, it's not worth doing.
No, exactly. Yeah. Unless you're trading, the bottom 200, the bottom 100, then yeah, that's something. Yeah, you got to pay attention to closely. Get in.
Which is really fun when it works. When it doesn't work, it's not fun at all, man.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. But yeah, I'm at the point right now where it's like, you know what? I'm tired of trading on a day-to-day basis. I just want to buy something. I want to hold it, and that's what I've been doing. I bought a bunch of stuff and I'm just holding it because I know it's solid. I know that.
I'm changing it to a crypto touchers room.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Crypto talkers room here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll do some TAs on any coins you guys want me to take a look at. I'll do some TAs on the top 3, but yeah, it's not worth it to trade anymore.
It's not worth it right now.
Cryptocurrency
so and the differences in the alts is whew.
Yeah, exactly. Unless now we see where F will drop. Let's just say it drops 30, 40%. Then yeah, you know what? That's a time to be buying in. And if it gets up to $300, that might be the time to start cashing in and locking in some profits. But yeah, aside from that, unless you're going to be day trading, intraday trading, swing trading, scalping, it should only be coins that are just in the top, I would say in the bottom 200, that are just nothing. But all of a sudden, you know what? There's going to be a chat room that's going to be pumping it. That's when, you get in, you get out, you don't look back, and you kind of forget about it, but yeah, some of these coins right now, I mean, the top 10, top 20, it's like, it's not even worth it to scalp it. Like micro scalping, like somebody was talking about micro scalping, and I was like, dude, I'm like, you're competing against bots. Like, there's no way
you can't do it quick enough, man.
No, yeah, exactly. You're not quick enough. I mean, like, and more likely you're gonna spend so much more money on commission than anything else. Because micro scalping, there's no way you can set it in that limit order whatsoever. You're not gonna have it executed
because it changes before you even know.
Yeah,
like you'd have to. It would be blind dumb luck.
Right, exactly. Yeah, there was somebody. Yeah, I forget who it was told me they were scalping for pennies, and I was like, dude, you're seriously scalping for a penny?
You're
basically trading every like 10 seconds, and I'm like, that's stressful. First of all, second of all, you're gonna lose your mind. Third of all, you're gonna pay more in commission because the amount of coins that you need in order to do it. And I've always talked about, if you're going to hold something very short term, your size, the position should be very large. If you're going to basically, 5-minute scalp something, you should have a very sizable position, because if it goes up 10 cents and, let's say you have 10,000 coins, that's $1,000 right there. But if you have a very small position, there's no way that you can scalp that on a 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, a half an hour candlestick, unless it has a very sizable move up to the upside. I'm like, micro scalping, I'm like, that's for bots, man. I'm like, there's no way I can do it. I was like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, like the stops I was taking on a list, like for the past month and a half, were great because it was so volatile.
Right.
They were big scalps, man. They were big.
Yeah, and if those types of scalps happen, so like on a very small position, you're going to make a very nice profit. On a very large position, you're going to make even a large profit. So scalping, something that moves up parabolic within a matter of 15 minutes, a half an hour, it's crazy. It's nice. But yes, I mean, this guy was scalping for pennies. And I mean, pennies. He's like, yeah, every time it goes up a penny, I sell. And I'm like, well, dude, like, you can't even put in a limit order. Like, I've tried to put in a limit order to buy, I think it was like, what was the limit order? I put the limit order in at the exact price that, the candlestick was at. And they were like, no, you can't do that. Like, I got an error saying you can't. Like, you need to put at least a penny underneath what the actual price is. And I was like, I'm like, this sucks. I'm like, I want to get in now because I want to transfer the money. But yeah, dude, it's
yeah, I mean, after the last, like, it's not even 48 hours. I guess it's 72 hours, man. I've been like, I work 3 days to 4 days a week, and generally I'm working 12 to 18 hours each day, and I'm off for 4 days, so it's pretty nice, right? And then
right.
I was able to pull just like the Friday through Sunday shifts, so that way I have Monday through Thursday to trade, which is perfect because I also do Forex and I also do like day trading on Scott Trade and stuff.
Right.
So I really locked in my week to be able to like make a living off of like trading.
Nice.
But man, just with like on all markets across the board right now, I got wrecked this week. It does not feel good. I made a bunch, and I put it in the cold store.
Yeah, so that's nice. And you got to remember too, man. You're not the first, you're not the last. There's a lot of people that this is happening to.
Exactly,
people are getting wrecked left and right, especially the ones that are not paying attention to what's happening in the market. They're getting wrecked.
The price fluctuations are insane.
Yeah, they are,
especially in crypto, right? It's like just to put things in perspective, right? Like, I made my salary
nice
in the last 52 hours.
Nice.
And then I lost half of it. So like, fuck me. Why?
So you can make your salary and then you can lose half of your salary within a matter of no time.
Seconds, dude.
No time at all.
Actually, no. I remember watching the hour candles, being like, next candle's gonna be different. Come on.
Yep.
It was an hour.
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly. and you're watching that order book. You're watching the execution of the the trades and how they're being executed. Yeah.
When it's all green, you want popcorn, and when it's all red, you want a shotgun, dude.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the best thing to do is probably wait until like you have a bearish engulfing candle where engulfs like 4 or 5 hours worth of price action movement or a day's worth of price action movement. those are the ones that I kind of look forward to be honest with you. If I see it, I'm like, you know what, I'm jumping in this because, this is a bearish candle that it just engulfed a day's worth of price action. I would feel comfortable buying it, and just being like, I'm going to walk away and smoke a cigarette and come back to this. Because more likely, that was some panic selling. That was some FUD that was being spread to cause that massive drop that just happened. But it's hard to spot them unless you're looking at, unless you got like a 10 monitor system where you got, charts up left and right and you're paying attention to all those charts. Yeah, it's hard to do. It's so hard.
It's
Trading
impossible, man.
trading is not easy,
You
man.
really gotta have a sweet little,
Exactly.
a sweet little setup.
Yeah, like, I mean, I thought I had a sweet setup, and then I see other people set up, and I'm like, man, I got nothing compared to what they do.
You ever watch Crypto News, man, with Butterfield and Matt?
No. What is it called? I'll write it down.
Oh man, you want to check those boys out? It's Crypto News on YouTube. It's Todd Butterfield and Matt Beasley, man.
They're
pretty awesome.
Oh, dude,
man.
I forget who it was that meant when I.
They use the Wyckoff method is their method,
Okay.
and they're actually the Wyckoff school. It's a competitor to Elliott Wave theory.
Nice.
But like you'll see them doing their thing. They do daily shows on YouTube, but back in the background, and this guy Todd Butterfield, he's the president of the Wyckoff school, right? So he's not just doing cryptos, man. I think in that space, in that office, he probably is doing a lot of mostly crypto stuff. But he heads up a couple different trading groups and hedge manager type stuff, and he's got I think it's an 8 or a 10 monitor setup, and it is so sweet, dude. It's so nice,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
This dude's got a story too. He put Nelly on, dude. He put like Nelly on,
Did he really?
like the rapper Nelly. Yes, dude, because he had money.
Nice.
Put the boy on. I was just like, holy shit, who is this dude, man?
Dude, that's awesome.
I found Matt the same way I found you. It was just a dude talking about crypto in his house, man. And then like later on, it was just like, nope. Matt's like, y'all see some stuff later, man. I work with stocks, man. Y'all hear about the Wyckoff shit? And I was like, no, what is it, man? I don't want to talk about it right now. And I made him talk about it. I got in that chat box. Like, tell me all about it. And then sure enough, like, this is all happening at like 11 o'clock at night to like 3 in the morning, man. This is what the show used to be.
Wow.
And now it's like 3 times a day in an office in St. Louis, man. Like, they're doing it hard, dude. They're going hard in the paint, man, and they are killing it.
I'm gonna have to check them out. I'm gonna have to check them out, man.
Great.
That's awesome. That is awesome. And I think somebody mentioned it when I did my rant about some honest people to kind of check out. I think somebody did mention Crypto News, and I.
Oh yeah, it might have been me, man.
Yeah, it might have been you. It might have been you, but yeah, I never.
Yeah, Stockers has been everything all day, man. Yeah, he says the Todd father.
Yeah, you guys. Who else is in here? Sunspawn is on here, and of course Jack. Of course, yeah, I knew you were on here, bud. But yeah, dude, this is awesome. This is awesome, and I want to thank everybody that's still on here, and who wants to trade full time. Sunspawn, that's tough, man. That is tough. Trading full time. Before we close this out, because this is running a little longer, and I definitely got to get some.
I know, man. I got the gift of gab, dude.
Yeah, you gotta work, man. You gotta go to work. I got 3.
No, I'm saying I got the gift of gab. I can keep people talking all night long, dude.
Oh, dude. Oh, man. You know what? I'm actually excited for your live stream. I don't know if you want to talk about that briefly. Before
it'll be later on down the road.
Okay.
But, yeah, we're gonna do. We got 2 people that have been in crypto for a really long time. We got 2 people that just got into it last week.
Sweet.
And it's gonna be 4 of us just kind of talking the shit, and it's gonna be kind of like a Ozzie and Harriet type situation right there, man.
Dude,
it's gonna be a lot of arguing and disagreeing. We're gonna go over the top with the grandeur and over the top with the shit. A lot of people have been in this space for a long time are gonna hate our guts. It is gonna be just garish. It's gonna be in your face, colorful, and comical.
What this industry, what this YouTube, cryptocurrency needs is somebody to kind of, put their foot down and really, kind of tell how it really is. And that's kind of what I did a little bit on that rant, but, my YouTube channel is not about ranting. It's not about, calling out, some of the scams that are going on. So yeah, man, like I'm excited for what you guys are going to be doing. I really am, and I'm going to be, one of your biggest supporters, and I will continue.
Crosshairs are going to be on anybody that's, being dishonest, man. It's going to be fun.
And we talk about mass adoption. And before we end this, I'll briefly mention this. A lot of people are being taken advantage of. Unfortunately, they are. We know it, And there's a lot of scams that are going, a lot of scams with a lot of ICOs, and they need people that are real, that have the honesty and integrity, to talk about this cryptocurrency market. And I'm excited for what you guys are going to be doing. Like I said, I'm going to be one of your biggest supporters, and I will continue to talk about you guys on my live stream, and get you guys
Likewise,
up to,
man. Likewise, dude.
So yeah, I mean, we need honest people in this.
It was really you and Matt and Carson from Crypto Hedge like before. Well, less of Carson. Carson now is awesome. I love watching him, but really like you and Matt when it was just like the origins, right? Like before things really took off, when it was like maybe like 10 people to 100 people tops like watching, right? It was like really like 10 to 30 people in room. That's like when I started watching, when I started getting inspired, and I was like, I want to make a YouTube channel, man.
And that's the best thing to do. And that's the best thing to do. You're right, man. All of a sudden, like, people just started popping out of the woodworks, and it all became a scam. BitConnect this, BitPetite this, and what are the other scams that are out there? I can't even name them off the top of my head, but it was all about,
a scam, man.
Yeah, it was all about, use my referral, use my link, use my referral, use my link. And I was just like, man.
Referrals in society, even on these ICOs, man, it's just
right.
Scam's a scam, dude. A lot of them are not going to come to fruition. And someone was like, what's it like an IPO, right? And I'm like, no, man, you straight up donated Ethereum at face value for nothing.
For nothing. Yep.
And they're like, what? And I'm like, that's the best way to look at it, as a donation. They're using it. That's the best way to put it, man. They're using the Ethereum network as Kickstarter, and that is wrong.
That is wrong.
Ooh,
and exactly. And the thing is, they're using YouTubers, because of their fan base and because of how many, how many subscribers they have, and saying, you know what, hey, we'll pay you, if you talk about us. Like I said, man, I receive emails on Facebook, on Twitter, on YouTube, so many left and right, and I haven't responded to any of them except for the one guy. He asked me, he was like, hey, you know what, I forget how he worded it, but he was like, he's like, hey, how can I, ask you, to review something, or to, ask you a private question. I was like, just send me a private message, and it was to review one of the basically almost like BitConnect type of scams that's going to be coming out, or Regal Coin that's out. And I was like, man, I'm like, are you serious? Like, this is crazy. So they're definitely using, YouTube and a lot of the subscribers that are out there.
Integrity back to, because that's where it started out. It was like fuck taxes, fuck banks. Started using language, trying to monetize. It's my bad.
It's all good, man. But, I'm sure you were on my rant, dude, where I really went off with a curse.
Yeah,
it's no big deal.
But it's just a lot of these people that started out doing this stuff started out with the greatest of intentions and full of integrity, trying to make something happen for the world. And then, they just get seduced by the Benjamins, man. But this isn't about Benjamins. It's about Satoshis.
Yes.
So we're trying to stack them up, and that's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then do something good with them, man. Be an altruist. I know it's hard, but it's worth it.
Exactly. In the long run, you were absolutely right, man. Good things happen to good people, man. And bad things happen to bad people. Karma's a bitch. And karma can be good and karma can be bad, unfortunately. But yeah, I hate to keep this going, and and actually I would love to keep this going, to be honest with you, but my wife is sitting on the couch and being like, "You're gonna
we good?
Yeah, you're gonna hang out with me because I got to work tomorrow morning." And but yeah,
perfect timing, man. I'm on my last sip of beer here, and we're good.
Yeah, I'm almost. You know what, dude? I've been lunching, but I don't know if you ever had Mad Elf. It's a very strong beer. I'm just about done with it. It's a sipping beer and not a chugging beer. And if I would have chugged it, I probably wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you. I'd be slurring every single word.
Yeah, that, dude. All right, dude. Well, hey, man, it was good chatting. And any other time, man, if if I'm able to pop in on one of these chat and chills, I'm more than down to.
Dude, that's awesome.
And everybody else that's listening, man, let's do it.
Exactly. And
we're a community, and we got to stick together.
Yeah, and once El Crypto gets his live stream up and running, I'll be, like I said, one of the biggest supporters, and I'm pushing people towards your live stream, and I'll be there, on the chat, pumping people up. And I want to thank everybody for joining. I know some of you guys have been troopers on hanging out with us. Sunspawn, Darkness. I see you guys chatting away on this chat. So thank you guys so much for joining. Until next time, and Oni, you got my number. I think I gave you my number on our
I have it.
Exactly. Dude, shoot me a text message, give me a call, whatever it is. I'd be happy to talk to you,
Representing.
and I'd be happy to teach you the language that you lost, a while back.
Yeah, for real, man.
So
how do you say cheers, man?
there's really no word for cheers, but like to say bye, you can say ciao, or you can say dahan kre means, which basically means like, I'll talk to you later, I'll see you later.
Ciao. The Italian's easier, man.
Ciao, yeah, exactly. Ciao. You can say ciao.
Oh, man.
All right, brother.
That's bold,
We'll
man.
talk
All
soon,
right.
man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, man. Anytime.
I appreciate it. I think hopefully a lot of people got a lot of good information from us, and if you guys do have any more questions, definitely leave it in the chat. I'm sorry, leave it in the comment section, and we'll be happy to answer it for you.
All right. Peace.
Peace.
Stay metal, guys.
All right, stay metal. I like that. Thank you, bud. Take care.